with blue. We already know what to.
A bunch of conference playoffs, and also Penn State.
Okay. Today's workshop might be a little bit different. And by that, I mean, I have so much work to catch up on. I need to actually do a couple of makeups for VOD review for some of the CCA talent pool. And we might actually go through the idea process or the mental process I go through every time I look at someone's work. So, like, the eye of the beholder here. What am I looking for as I'm reviewing people's commentary? At least that's the mental that I'm going for. Now, funny thing was, I was actually here and able to...
Summer Series. It's been some time since the CRL World Championship. We took a little bit of a breather, and now we are back with some good old collegiate Rocket League action. I am Nick Ambrosic, or Vodable, your host for today. Seb will be doing.
I was able to watch this, but I was also in the green room, and the green room was fully invaded almost the entire time. So I did not get to listen to this as detailed as I normally would.
It's been a long time since we've done Summer Series because it's been, yes, it has been a year since last summer. So it's a huge deal that we're now back and with a massive prize pool, all these great new teams. It's an exciting time to be a talent in this esports scene.
I love the quick math there. I mean, coming to us with such great facts. It has been a year. It's been, it's been a while, and even since spring, it's been a while. It's been over a month now since.
Caster math is hard.
I'm ready to see what people have been up to and see where things are going to fall for this summer and then eventually the fall.
Let's take a look at the format of how things are going to be working for the Summer Series itself. We have Division 1 and Division 2 after a bunch of qualifiers and plans for both East and West. Round robin style, 12 teams for each of those who qualify.
I love the support in the chat there for Flow.
The league teams, top 8 open teams, and it's going to be a staggered.
It was very wholesome to see.
Bracket with top 2 teams advancing into the championship. That's going to be a lot of fun action going through. And again, the entire prize pool for the CCA Summer Series this season, $30,000. So excited for that.
Starting everything off with the two commentators who actually have competed in CCA before. Felt pretty good.
But not many of them have returned, gentlemen. Is there like just
Hello.
as the year
Welcome.
has gone by, Taco?
Do they need another casters competed in CCA before?
Ooh, that is true. Thought processes. The thought processes are there.
Yeah, it's a shame. When you're on broadcast, they don't see the CRL title.
Yeah.
But hello, or I almost said Floms. I see Floms on broadcast. Hello, Kendo. How you doing?
It's definitely been a very busy week for me. Week or two, really.
Understandable. I'm still getting over a cold, so it definitely messed up my casting quite a bit, having a cough.
How have you been otherwise?
Besides the cough and the illness, that's pretty good. I've actually like a regular paid casting gig now, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
Got paid Friday and Sunday to do a few hours of casting. Not a whole lot of money. It's one of those entry level gigs, but they liked me. They want to bring me back, so
yeah. No, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's the important thing. And the tournament owner apparently has got big plans for future tournaments, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic.
But for the most part, if it's your first time in CRL, you've just got to go out there and play your game. I mean, it's the same as any other tournament. There's no secret
At the moment, my thought process is I'm going to actually do a little bit of VOD review for the summer series.
Yeah, I had your stream open. I was seeing that. That's why I said Floms instead of Kendo earlier, because like I'm looking at Floms' eyes, so I'm talking to Kendo.
I know, right? Just letting the words flow.
Indian River State College, Ball State. These are all up and coming
Terrible.
teams with actually pretty interesting rosters.
Hey, it was okay.
Is all the way at the bottom, but two rank X level players on the roster. There's so much talent to be, but of course, we get a nice preview going forward on Akron, but we can save that.
Let's see. Ball State. No Canadian. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, St. Clair B team. Oh yeah. St. Clair B team.
Yes, the St. Clair B team.
Yeah, because their A team was playing without Jay or Comp.
Jay.
Jay, because Jay no longer goes there.
That is correct.
I mean, the obvious answer is Columbia College. They've been around for a while.
The A team at St. Clair is in absolute turmoil right now.
Beach have been around for a while as well.
I think they are still winless.
They were, a school of yonder back in 2017, 2018. It's nice to see them make a resurgence, but it looks like to me like there's a lot of new faces in the West Division. I'm excited to see, how the cookie's going to crumble.
Let's take a look back at the standings from last season as well.
What's up?
3 schools are returning in the Eastern
I like
Conference
Floms as
Akron,
how the cookie
Oregon,
crumbles.
St. Clair.
No,
It's
it's
not even the main St. Clair
See
roster.
how that
As we were
cookie's
talking
gonna
about,
crumble.
St. Clair
Yep.
Green, the main
What's
St. Clair
that
roster,
like an adage, or is that what's the correct word for that?
during the play-in. So just some crazy happenstance going
A
on
figure
during
of
those play-ins.
speech,
Definitely
technically,
A
but
figure
yeah,
of speech.
an adage would be a good way to put it.
The entire scope of everything, the qualifiers.
Trying to think what would be the most
play,
applicable
what teams are out there, which players, the rosters, and everything else. But
adage.
at the Western Conference as well, they had a few more teams returning compared to the East. Cal Poly, Columbia, Oregon, UT Dallas, North Texas, and UT
Do
Arlington.
VOD and Taco have the same headset, or
Adage, yeah.
Aside
Adage would
from,
be correct.
Say, the obvious Columbia. Which one of those that I mentioned do you think have the biggest potential to prove their
Kendall,
worth
do you know,
in the Summer Series this season?
do Taco and VOD have the same headset?
It looks like it from here, don't it?
Fair.
Yeah.
Season, it feels like my answer is if they can learn to defend a little bit better, they're
And then
gonna be a
Floms
top
is using a standalone mic.
Truth every season.
Yeah.
They have one of the most. I don't know. They have one of the best offenses in the league. Yet for some reason they're conceding left and right, left and right.
If I had to guess, yeah. And I do know Taco uses Audio Technicas, but
Be a top team, and I'm looking forward to them.
the pads are different from the model I think it is.
Well, talking about top teams, some top teams that we saw in the past recently for CRL Spring 2022 didn't make it even into Division 2. Talking about UCF, talking about the Ottawa Braves. So those teams
I
have
love
a
how
chance to
expressive
make it back
VOD
in,
is
make it
when
to
now he's got
the
a standing
playoffs,
desk.
trying to get to the championships
I
as
like
well.
it, but I also understand you have to control it.
Summer Open Series is back
Mhm.
And
for
VOD hasn't
summer
learned that yet.
2022, open to non-league
Mhm.
play
Fair,
teams.
fair.
He hasn't gotten to the point where he's comfortable with controlling it really well.
July 16th and 17th,
And
which is
it's only
coming up pretty
doable if you
soon.
have
Sign
a
up for
headset
tomorrow night.
microphone.
Make sure if you didn't qualify for league
Yes.
play, either Division 1 or Division 2,
But
or the
you can
conference,
still
sign up for
kind of
that.
hear
Top 8 teams
the
from weekend
the
tournament
play in your
points,
voice when you
counts
do
towards
it,
the
even with a
Summer
headset
Conference
mic.
playoffs. And also, Penn State was a team who competed.
It's
in
very
the
subtle,
CCA
but you can
Open
still.
during the spring and made it all the way.
You get
to
the pull.
LCQ and into the World Championship. So it's not out of the woodwork yet if you're going through the CCA Summer Open.
I love when he does that big like arm wave and looks like he's gonna smack Taco.
Summer Series 22. With that out of the way, gentlemen, let's look and take a peek at the tonight's schedule for the matches that we have coming up as well. We have a stacked night of competition, a lot of great matches that are coming up as well. And the first one on the docket, Akron Blue and Stockton. Akron, they've had a little bit of a roster change. And Taco, I know we were mentioning that. What can we really expect from this Akron team going up with that?
I just
as
don't
well?
like how he's in and out. It is really, really. It's almost focus breaking for me.
Do you think it's because of the just like the framing, right? Like because he like goes in and out, like if it was a wider capture and you can actually see him, do you think that'd be okay?
It'd be a lot better.
Be a lot better.
But due to how compact the situation is there, I completely agree.
Yeah, with
It's
the
like
TriCast, yeah.
It's like 70% of that window is moving in and out side to side.
When we're asked for power rankings, still put that Akron team up that much higher. So to be able to put them up against really the team that is trying to fill their legacy shoes in Stockton, I mean, it's a great
I do feel like it's a gradient with Vaude on the left being the most expressive, and then Taco in the middle, and then Flomps just staring into the camera.
Teams that are coming into this first time playing on these rosters with
They're both staring into our souls, though.
teammates as well, and qualifying for the summer series. What can they really do to prepare themselves against this competition who's been melded by fire throughout CRL fall and spring?
I mean, that's a tough one. When you get a new roster like that, there's always, different levels of preparedness and different levels of readiness. You have new rosters that have been practicing together for, years and years that have just never been able to qualify for the main event and are finally making their breakthrough. On the flip side, you might have a roster of 3 freshmen, straight into college, 2 weeks of practice together or less, and they're expected to compete. And the answer to your question is really...
No!
Oh, no.
Emotional damage. But
This stream brought to you by advertisement.
they gotta get their money somehow.
Okay, but who has a happy birthday at work? That's just...
On the bright side, just by watching the VOD and sticking through it, it does allow you to help College Cardball make money. Like, they just got 0.3 cents right there.
Hey, and that adds up.
Yes, it does.
That goes towards paying the next generation of pro players to play in CRL.
Maybe.
Sorry. Sorry, that might have been a charged comment.
You just gotta play safe, do what you can, and the summer series is obviously the best place to experiment because
I've always been a subscriber to pros shouldn't be in CRL, but that's not what we were paying attention to.
I mean, I don't mind the debate.
Just show up and play your game and see what you can do.
I'm of the thought process that
don't have quite as new teams, Mizzou and
all
UNLV.
things in
I'm
moderation.
sure if you've been paying attention to the Western Conference, those just tuning in,
Because a lot of the ones who are full on in CRL have struggles in the professional scene. And vice versa, to be perfectly honest.
For our schedule today. So a lot of action-packed, heavy.
So yes, I do kind of agree with the sentiment. I think that would be better for all, like everyone who decided that they wanted to do it, to choose one over the other rather than try to do both.
Yeah.
The one thing,
I think Tristan's a perfect example, though. Tristan.
Yeah.
Tristan,
like, as you said,
watered
moderation.
down. Tristan seemed watered down in his role with E United because of how much time he was spending with Akron. Then went to E United altogether, and it just never felt like it had the chance to fully develop as a professional field team.
I think you said it right though, Ken. It was like the moderation part, because like you're like if there's a collegiate player that goes pro, like Shock, that's like, that's amazing. Or like I'm thinking, like even T-Bates, right? Sub for E United, or Low Tech sub for E United.
No, T-Bates would be sub for E United.
T-Bates was E United. Low Tech was, I forget who. Well, yeah, those kind of things that just happen naturally, fully behind that, that's fine. But I do disagree with, these like new super teams being coming out of nowhere. It does create the chance for upsets though, and that makes good stories.
But with more and more money being put into CRL, you're going to see the shift. I think there's going to be those 18, 19-year-olds who realize, okay, I can stay right here and continue to make maybe $4,000 to $10,000 a year and be frustrated, or I can be a star for a college, get an education, and then on top of it, I still have the chance to win a decent amount of money.
I actually like when you point that out. I think like I'm pretty sure like I've noticed like a shift recently around like just CRL titles in general. Because like when we first had them, what I'd often get in ranked is just like, oh, washed up collegiate sucks, things like that. But like nowadays, I'm actually getting quite a few people asking like, hey, like I'm interested in CRL, like where do I start? Or like, I was like, oh, sick title, dude. Like, yeah, I'm gonna like, sick title. I'm gonna be going to university next year, hoping to compete in CRL, and so it's actually been kind of cool. Seeing some of these, as you say, like 17, 18-year-olds be like, hey, so how do you actually like get started in collegiate Rocket League?
Like the legit boom just for this year, looking at rosters, is insane.
The craziest jump in skill I think we've had since CCA started back in 2018, 2017.
But the joy is, you had this first week go by, and it still looked like good old CCA. Like, it's same old CRL. So much inconsistency. You had a whifty. There's so much fun to be had.
Yeah, that'll never change. Whifties.
Take it to 5, even if they lose, I still think that's a great marker for how much they can really be regarded as a contender.
So Flom's kind of.
I kind of agree, one or the other. But I also,
Columbia to destroy the Western
if
Conference,
forcing someone to do one or the other comes at the expense of the content we get for CRL, I would much rather they try to do both.
Style compared to UT Arlington, who has the same roster, stuck to their guns, and now are trying to see if they can improve their.
And that's actually a very selfish take on my part.
For Columbia, they've been around the block a few times now. They know what it takes to play at the
bring on the content. Let the kids be kids. Let them do what they want to do.
I do miss the T-baits and fire back and forth. Yeah, that's how you knew it was a good night, when you wake up in the morning and check CCA General and there's like 250 messages. Oh boy, fun.
And Columbia, again, they were in the World Championship last year. There's no reason they can't take replays from
I think we can get away with talking about. He who shall not be named.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm pretty sure we can get away with it a little bit.
Yeah, my apologies. It's a little weird for me because some of these players, like, I was there back in the day running with them, Kendo, so it's like.
That's the perfect way to summarize exactly what these teams need to do. The question is, can they do that? And today, for some of these rosters, we'll be seeing those differences. Talking about,
but I do.
mentioning before, Taco,
I agree with you. The back and forth.
The way that they have changed their roster throughout the season.
There are very few things that was better.
The dominant team until Northwood took the clean sweep, or not clean sweep, but kind
there
of
was so much stinking content to be had.
They took the summer series last go around. They took CRL fall.
I made so many good memes out of it. It was peak.
Level Next Challenger Series event itself, but that was kind of a one-off.
So many emotes.
World Championship. Green Blue. Is this going to be the roster that could potentially usurp the throne of Northwood?
Yeah, I love that. Yep. Yeah, no. No one's taken no Northwood except Northwood.
Foundational step. If you want to be able to compete, you need.
I mean, as is, that's where it is. But I do think there are a few teams where Northwood can shoot themselves in the foot.
You wouldn't put them in top 5
Yep.
in the region or their conference, but collectively they're greater than the sum of their parts, and I think that's really the focus for any team going up against Northwood. Not only do you have to bring an immense amount of talent, but you have to be flawless on your movements, all your touches to the side, and that's not an easy task. So I am a huge fan.
I do think Akron is going to be
the coordinator over there is very confident in the amount of depth
the one that's closest to pulling it off.
They are showing that off. They have 2 teams in Division 1, and both of them can make.
They're the ones you need to watch out for, like the Akron A team.
I think people should definitely.
Technically, the Akron B team is pretty stinking good too. They actually beat Stockton in the in-between weeks.
But talking about the second,
Akron's got some insane depth.
World for Collegiate Rocket League after placing second at the CRO World Championship.
But having Tristan full time at Akron,
the competition there was kind of expected.
That's a
To
plus.
see it happen live as well. Stockton now
So
will
you
be
get that
really
one
on
last
their main
ride for
roster. I think he's
Buzz
playing on their B team now. What can we expect
alongside
from this roster change, Flums, with
Tristan
Warbeam coming in after them having such a stellar performance, but still having to play second.
Throw in the future, which was Patty. I mean,
it's big shoes.
it don't get much better than that.
Go off of what Taco said. Are they going to be
You got me thinking, like, yeah, wait, so this is Buzz's senior year. That's crazy.
You don't go into the season expecting the king to not be on his throne. And maybe
I remember his freshman year.
Stockton or Akron,
Good
I do too.
starts challenging North.
Good times, Gendo.
Someone being in contention, but for the time being, I think there's some big.
What is the casting format for this broadcast, by the way? Like, is this the desk, or will Taco and Turtle be casting?
Taco and Flo will be.
Taco,
yeah, you know what? I get the feeling Flo would take that as a compliment. Because yeah,
exact same style. Former player, turn
former
color.
player turn color commentator.
Yeah.
Or analytical mastermind. Yeah.
I gotta get these.
I'm pretty sure
these
Flo would
mix-ups.
appreciate the parallel.
I gotta get these mix-ups out of the way because I got a cast later.
Yeah. What time did you have your cast later?
Then 9:30.
Ah. So you still got a little bit.
Some Rocket Soccer Confederation.
Ooh. RSC.
Mm-hmm.
Been a hot minute. I want to, let's see here.
Buzz Lightyear. The movie.
Want to see if we can find some of the old pictures.
Oh. I mean, I've got my old pictures saved. I actually use it in my casting highlight reel. My photo.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Here we go. This is good. This is
If I'm
good.
alone.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me though! Look at how small the picture is.
Wait, 2019. Oh yeah, that was the year. Yeah. Yep. That was my last year in CRL. Oh, it was so cool though.
But it's amazing to see how much he's grown up. Just over, I'm trying to find the pictures, just because of how much Buzz has grown up over the last 3-4 years. Like Buzz came in looking like the short stack. You know what I mean?
I think I remember seeing some banter about his height. See if I can, let's go 2019.
Not bad.
Oh boy.
You get the smallest of boys.
I guess that is kind of crazy though, like in the last year and two, like we are starting to get to that point where we have these players who started in CRL in their freshman year, like graduating now. And,
yes.
And moving out of it.
To be honest, it's one of my favorite things about it all, though. There is really nothing better than that. Oh, I remember these guys.
Oh, God.
These guys literally made it for me for my first LAN. Like, there was nothing better than these 5 men.
Right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Cheese, and I'm here to tell you why I'm better than Corelli Stevens. It's quite simple. He sucks.
I love team content.
It was so casual back then.
It really was. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much you can do with this picture.
It's a very memeable photo.
I'm saving. Gotta save. We save those. I'll find ways to make memes out of this. Make fire cry. Oh my goodness. How did this turn into a trip down memory lane? Oh yeah.
That's what happens when the only two people here are old souls from
Like it's been
Yeah,
a
it's cool.
joy. It's been a joy to
Mhm.
cover for all of this time.
Oh, man, it's gonna be a real sentimental workshop.
That's a face.
Oh, the articles.
That is a face we haven't seen in a very long time.
Hmm.
Mercy.
In and around the bubble scene, we've seen him playing a number of events. He certainly
That was a good. It was good.
Now
That was a
it's
good
time to
trip.
deliver and prove it.
I could have reminisced
We'll
on
have
that
to
for a
see
very
this
long
best of
time.
fives throughout the league
Mhm.
play itself. No best of sevens yet, but let's get our predictions. Let us know in chat who you think is going to come out on top using those lovely channel points. I know some people were spending them on declaring this Champ 3 gameplay, but it's okay. We don't have Champ 3 gameplay anymore in CRL, hopefully, from what we have seen. So I'm going to start things off as well with what I think my predictions are going to be. And I got to go Stockton. I mean, I mentioned it before. Second best team in the world, as far as we know, going into the Summer Series after their performance at the World Championship. Warbine definitely has experience throughout the bubble scene, so I would say that's a technical upgrade, but it just depends.
Warbine!
Akron team, again, also
Warbine,
making so many
what?
different changes, trying to see what they can do as well, but I got to go with Stockton. Taco, hear me out on this one. Do you agree with me, or do you think Akron's going to take this one by
I forget where it was. I think it was on Twitter.
But it's hard to root against Stockton. I feel like Stockton is a team that has.
But it was
obviously made it to
for
the
qualifiers during
Then on top of
RLCSX.
that, they've added another player.
Somebody who had like a video where they had their communications with somebody else. They're like, oh, this team got beat by this team. Oh, really? Wow, who's on this team? And then they started laughing because they were making fun of the team that lost. And it's just like, oh, they're like, oh, they lost to them? Really? They lost to Warbine. And still to this day, I'll forever remember. I'll forever remember the sound, the outrage, but at the same time, I can't remember where the stinking video is. Feels bad. He went to Akron because he can't say Northwood. LOL.
Oh man, wait, hold on. That's what? Genesis is still a team?
Technically.
A little bit, not to be outdone. Of course, Drip is still in the Summer Series, just in the Division 2 realm, so representing their university. But Stockton, if you can find a team that
I looked up Warbine and he was on Genesis for a few months.
Tell that against a new Akron team who's still trying out a third, who they have yet to be able to get a significant number of games in. So we don't know if the chemistry's there.
Bloms, again, welcome back to the crew, and let us know for the first time for the Summer Series, what is your prediction as well?
I've got Stockton as well. I think you guys both hit the nail on the head. They finished second in the World Championship for a reason, and like Taco said, they're making an upgrade, or so they think. So, we'll have to see whether that ends up being the case or not, but it's hard to root against them. Akron has something to prove, and I think they're the ones that are here to prove it, and not so much Stockton.
Looking at the chat percentages so far, we have 44% for Akron, 58% for Stockton, and that's enough of me doing some Taco League. So Taco, Floms, take us into the pregame, into our first match of the CCA Summer Series.
Thanks so much, Vod. And Floms, of course, lovely to be back in the booth with you, my friend. But on top of that, it's also lovely to start off with such a fantastic series. We're not just getting two random teams. These are
when in
teams
doubt,
with
Stockton.
a lot of history behind them, so it's nice.
But
to
Akron
see
is
how
going to.
Akron.
But Akron is going to win this. I have no doubt. That did not go well for me.
Oh no.
Programs and what they've had to offer so far.
Yeah, and these two teams.
They had the stuff to win it,
number of times in the history of
but
CRL and
they
CCA
let
Summer
Stockton
Series.
back
And,
in.
For the longest time, Akron was the team that routinely came out on top against Stockton. But the last I think 5 matchups have gone all the way of Stockton, and some of them have been dominant performances over Akron. It has to be said. So, I think Akron is the team that's going to come out here with something to prove. They're the ones that were on the top of the perch for the longest time, and maybe not so much anymore. They need to come back with a vengeance and come back with a bite.
And there's certainly a lot to bite, a lot of teams in here.
A lot to bite.
Just per conference, so there's a lot of talent on the field, and of course, a lot of things to compete.
Okay.
$30,000.
So, things I'm going to be listening for.
Summer series. Of course,
First off,
going to bring out a lot
the
of
exchanges. I want to hear the conversation furthered. Like, are we saying generic things? Is it just fluffernutter peanut butter? Or are we actually advancing a narrative throughout? You want to see purpose behind what is being said. If it's just fluff,
that, right? First game of the season, both teams making roster changes.
It's
really hard to make any kind of a prediction or,
it's meh.
This team's gonna be on top. This team isn't.
It could have been done by anybody.
I'm gonna have to just wait and see, and I'll give you a better opinion as to where things stand after we've seen these teams play. But for the time being, I think it's kind of a toss-up.
And so, really going into it and seeing chat trying to lean which way and trying to go into the specific games, go with maybe an initial start. I think this is going to be something that we all had predicted Stockton, but I think that's really just based off of the tradition of saying, well, this team did well, and even though my knock against Akron was that they have a new player, Orbean is also new to Stockton, so I suppose it is a little bit fair to give them a little bit of a knock as well, to say that maybe both teams have a pro and also some cons attached to them, though I think certainly one thing that I didn't necessarily spell out that Buzz and Tristan have a lot of chemistry. That was one of the biggest things that made Akron the contender, so I think despite the Stockton predictions sweeping the desk, I think Akron very much has the capacity to come in here and then make us all look like...
I found it very interesting that somebody was using CRL at the end of their name.
Part of that squad where he
like,
was always
what?
willing to be that defensive rock and let Buzz and Tristan take the
gotta get that taken in case it gets used in the future.
I mean, maybe, but
and play their game, and I think
I should have made an account called Akron CRL back in the day.
Oh, that would have been smart.
But you're gonna look to Tristan to be the danger man here.
And that is really what everyone wants to see out of these teams. And to be honest, everybody
feel free to hijack if you have anything that you want to say, want to discuss, or if you have any questions.
It is Stockton, first match of the $30,000 2022
season. My main focus these last couple of weeks has just been getting back up to speed because of my cold. I've missed quite a few gigs, so it's been interesting. Have you ever had to deal with illness, Kendo, when you're trying to cast, or like you have to postpone a gig?
I'm blessed in a couple ways. Like, I don't usually get sick very often at all. So, like, my metabolism is really high. And or not just that, but my resistance to colds, excuse me. My metabolism, what does that have to do with anything? My my ability to resist colds is fairly high. Like, generally, if I'm, like, the second person in my house to get a cold, it doesn't affect me half as much as some people. And I usually, with it being the least effective, like, it almost never gets to a point where I'm like, I gotta go to the doctor. Hey, we gotta get the antibiotic. So I'm thankful for that. At the same time, colds will linger, and I will have tickly throat situations. And at that point, it's like, tea and honey goes so far. Or throat coat,
Yeah. Yeah, because that's been me for like I got sick 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and like the initial symptoms, those are done like Thursday, Friday, but like just the last week has been a cough. Yeah, that's really hard to cast when you're trying to hold in a cough.
It's just nagging.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I 100% understand that. It's tough stuff to try to get through casting while you have a cold. I almost would recommend, like, if you feel like it's going to affect your performance, and if it's an event where it's like you want to be your very best, be like, you might have to just drop from it.
Yeah, no,
But
I turned down.
there are also times where it's like, okay, this is my shot. I don't care if I feel like I'm in the dirt. So like that is not a concrete answer by any stretch of the imagination. But
I turned down 3 gigs, one of which was paid, because like
yeah,
like a whole week of work, which kind of sucked. But
giving people your best foot forward though is always a good thing, even if it's long time relationship. Like,
got power through.
yeah, people see the consistency of your work. I mean, there'll be times where people will also take into consideration your consistency of being available and consistency of being able to work. But if you are usually fairly consistent with you making your commitments, and people understand that you're taking the step back because at the moment you wouldn't be 100% and you feel like they deserve your 100% every single time, a lot of production folks are going to feel that there's nothing wrong with that.
Thankfully, I was able to. I let them know well enough in advance that they were able to find backup casters. So.
Oh yeah. And that was always the thing for me. Like, if I had a spot where I knew I was going to be in need of somebody to replace me, a lot of the time I would help them find the person to replace me. And that always went a very long way too. Whether it was through the art of suggestion or just straight up getting in other people's DMs and be like, hey, would you like to potentially commentate for this group? I have a gig with them, but I'm probably not going to be able to make it. And being able to connect people that way is yet another really fun way of networking.
Sorry.
He had a coughing fit. Thank you for muting, of course, but
I'm mute most of it.
oh, you're fine. You're fine.
And sorry to detract from the vlog review.
Oh, you're fine. I to be honest, like this is the first time I think I've done a okay, let's make it about me, but try to
okay, wow.
try to also play it off. So like I make no defense. This is kind of the most selfish way that I could approach the casting workshop. But at the same time, if you're self-reviewing, going through a lot of these processes can help you hone your product. So, like, trying to find ways to better say something or shorten a sentence in a critical moment that would have brought time. Because, hindsight is better than 2020. Like, if we were all Time Lords, we would be perfect every time.
In the off season,
maybe.
Fortunately, we don't have to wait too much longer. Some nice interchanges, but so far, it's a very cagey opening.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of everything you'd expect. Stockton's got the early possession, but they find themselves pinned against their backline already. Akron has done a good job of challenging the midfield so far. They might get a shot opportunity here, but Patty takes out Buzz. Akron is going to get the ball out of it, but they're going to be forced all the way back, and they're going to have to take this a long way around and start from scratch.
Orbine will have a solid 50 with Tristan. Buzz with a courageous challenge will allow Patty maybe to tuck on in, but he will extend it
first
out.
back and forth, they're kind of setting a landscape.
Buzz has up and support Tristan.
Flo
So
tried to
so is
establish
Patty, but no touch on the
essentially
pass
a
middle.
point of
Wasted
contention.
opportunity. Tristan trying to salvage something. The flip reset, you don't want to give him time. Bussy will not. Another clear, though. Stockton, as you mentioned, still on the back foot. That clear will do quite a lot, though.
The clear is going to help them, but already the signs of the double commits from Stockton are there. They are going to actually score off the back of it,
To the intake.
that was off the back of a double commit. You know, had things gone differently, Akron might have had a good chance, but a great catch from Bussy is going to bait out Tristan, and he's going to be able to find the finish.
It's like touches like that, and as much as we were doubting, I would say, Stockton's capacity to be able to turn that defense into
That
offense,
was one of those circumstances where hybrid field, you might have been on a color point, just color through it, acknowledge the goal, try to segue your point into adding to what just happened. But the biggest thing is that reset. And Flo threw it a very proper time. Allowed Taco to have a complete restart from kickoff. And extra time to intro.
Last season, putting up huge numbers throughout the season. He's on the ball here, and Tristan will 50 him out of the way. Top G's had the 2-0 in hand, but he comes up empty. Akron back on the offense here through Tristan, and Bussy will get it to the wayside.
I don't think that he had anything.
Here we go. Warbine caught out. Tristan will be able to collect on the loose touch. Black Phoenix
Don't know.
Coming on through. We got a tie ball game.
And at the end of the day, Warbine is really the one that makes that backflip there.
Warbine.
Really
Warbine!
As well. He catches
I love
the
that
ball,
Phoenix
puts it
though.
right into the path of an Akron player, lets him get that into the middle, leaves Warbine in quite the pickle, and he can't do anything. Akron will get themselves back on the board.
Warbine in quite the pickle.
And of course, we talk about Top G's being such a weapon for Stockton, but Tristan for Akron has been one of the most storied players in the history of CRL. Arguably,
story building
player in the entirety of CRL. So being able to come back
they
and
got
make
talking
an impact
points
early on is important. But as a new player in Warbine, they have something to say. That's off the bar. Top G still with the salvage. The pass down to Bussy, but dunks his own teammate. Warbine will collect, but I think that play is done and over. Patty with the clear, not able to touch it, and right back out to midfield. So as you said, a cagey opening. Now it seems like both teams getting a bit more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, and to go back to what you said about Tristan, it's certainly one of the coolest stories, and I think it really embodies what CRL is all about, kind of when you think of traditional college sports and as an avenue into professional play. That's everything Tristan's done. That came close for Akron, but no dice. Stockton really struggling, and I've been keeping an eye on Top G's here. He's really struggled to get himself into this game. He just doesn't have any boost. He's on an empty tank once again, forced into a fisty from Buzz. He's doing whatever he can to get it downfield, but he just cannot get himself into the Stockton rotation right now.
Top G's the slow play, the doozy dish, not going to find any contact, so we're
Tristan.
There for more. 50.
No one commenting on that save. I would have been very on top of that save. That is
able to buy some time, but also it seems like
that is one of those times where if you are the co-commentator and you know your teammate is hard into a point and they're not going to be able to very easily come off of that point, being able to interject, oh, that save, you know, something so small as that, to acknowledge the play, like, you have to do it tactfully, but if you add that there, it's where you can create a perfect additional, like an addendum to, or an adage to what has already been said.
Kind of similar, but actually some of my recent casts, like the one that I was able to do on Sunday, and then the one before I got sick a few weeks ago, they were actually like tri-casts and quad-casts. And so like I did the CCA qualifiers with Vod, Seb, Grant, and myself. And so, you know, with 3 or 4 people, it becomes less of that kind of, you know, static switching between people and more of just like, you know, everyone getting hype about things, or like you know, kind of like voices talking over each other sometimes, but done well, I think it still works.
Yeah, 100%. Like and that is, if I remember correctly, you actually do it fairly well. like throwing little bits of vocal interjection, not always words, but the way you add yourself in at times can be very, very fluid and create a little bit of hype where you might have missed some.
The
No,
classic.
oh yeah. Just something as small as that can go so far in helping everything out. Having just that little that's safe. It literally second and a half. Oh, that's save. And all of a sudden, you have all the bases covered.
With these teams playing so offensively minded at times, it's good just to remind the defense that you can't get complacent in these longer clears, keeping them in their place. Same with those direct chances from a tough angle. It's saved by
complacent and keeping them in their place. Not exactly a repetition.
Toe on the line.
But you have to watch out for facsimiles. I guess.
Yeah,
they're not full-on homonyms by any stretch. Because they're two different, very different words. But you get that small little single syllable that's the same, and people can start to notice. Maybe that's just me. Like, I notice little things like that, and it triggers me.
Yeah, since I've started coming to these workshops and like actively looking at casting, it's like more and more, and I tend to notice that when people will use the same word in a sentence, or like, as you said, a similar
homonym would be the proper term for words that sound alike. Technically, it's not. Those aren't even homonyms. It's single syllables that are the same.
Syllable, that's the word, a syllable. Yeah, because like there was an instance earlier in this game where Floms, I think, was making a point about, I forget who the player was. I think it was Top G's, or it was either I forget the team, but he was saying like this team struggling, this player struggling. Like same sentence there.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, and that can be a good thing if you do it properly.
It can be. But what I'm just saying is, because of like coming to these workshops, I've started noticing that now when you do repeat in a sentence.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it makes me think for a second, like, was that done well? You know, it's like, was there intent behind the word choice? That's something cool as well, by the way. Getting to cast with more people is like, for lack of a better term, getting to like steal the terminology they use.
Oh yeah. Like, you have so many different people right now within the Rocket League spectrum that you can aspire to be like. And, you know... Oh, goodness. I'm going to mess up this phrase.
Oh.
The highest form of flattery...
is imitation.
Imitation. My goodness. How did I not actually remember the word imitation off the top of my head? I'm brain farting right now, but imitation is the highest form of flattery. Just straight up.
I was just gonna say, I like Taco using like tuck in behind the ball. He used that in this game, and then I got to cast with Biggles on Sunday and Friday, and he I would say he overused this, but he'll say like charging in. And so, you know, these are just, you know, verbs that I never would have thought to use, which I don't normally use. And now that I hear another character using it, I'm like, oh, great, that's something I can add to the repertoire, so that I'm not repeating myself.
And you have to be careful about the way you do it, but you can add so much flavor to the point that even the A-stream folks, you start noticing that they're doing some of the same things. You know? It's pretty insane to think about. We're all watching each other, and we are all learning from each other.
Yeah, like I only heard the term wifty when I started casting, but now it's like that's just like the go-to thing I say when I notice it.
The person who deserves the most credit for that is Jorby.
Jorby, okay.
That goes all the way back to Jorby's community days at Nexus.
See, I thought it was Viz One that coined it, but like I never actually dug in because that's who I first heard it from.
Well, yeah, dude, I've heard Visionary One use it a couple times, but the original Wifty Wifty, I'm pretty sure was Jorby back in Nexus, and that was before I started commentating.
God, consult the records.
It's been a hot minute, and I love the fact that we had a Wifty Wifty throwback recently.
Stockton, and they've cleared the ball yet again.
They've cleared the ball, and both teams are really gonna have to.
Real facts. If I would have heard him use Wifty Wifty live at live in England, live at the Copper Box, I would have cried right there. I would have had a moment. Like, it would have been literally one of those moments like, I cannot believe I am here right now. This is so far. We've all come so far.
Try to get a little more creative with how they're approaching these shots here. The defenses on both sides have been so good so far. Really, the only true chances have been off of, the lackluster occasional mistake or the occasional bump. Akron specifically has been trying to get a little bit of physical play going. They haven't had much success finding the demos in net. Top G's over the top, and Patty will be there to save. But both teams just look kind of stale on the offense. I mean, the shots are coming in, but they just have not been that threatening in the face of such stellar defense on both ends of the field.
It might be tied.
Top Chiefs with their own goal there.
You're already at 10 for Akron, only 5 for Stockton, but they don't need a lot. If they score what they do get, Bussy off the backboard, no contact on target. Top Chiefs trying to get it done with a double. They do have the touches, but the board says no. Akron able to collect, and they really got away with it that time.
Got away with it that time, and Akron, like you alluded to, they get away with it. They're just sitting high up the field. They're doing what they can to try and get the ball out of the midfield before it even gets into the danger area. You can see Patty here, the next one to punt this one downfield. Warbean in a tough spot will get it out. Gets it over. Tristan is going to be able to continue the play, but Buzz is there to challenge. Akron playing just so far up the field. If they get caught out, you think they're going to be in a dangerous spot, but that is the rewards. When you're willing to play that far up, if things go your way, you get the tap-in finishes, and this time it's...
Bombs got caught in the color.
Yeah.
But you can't expect. I think it's just because the whiff kind of messed him up. Because I was actually gonna say, like, a nice thing, or I find when you are casting higher level gameplay, it's much easier to do analysis because you know that they're not just gonna, like, there won't be goals from nowhere. It is sometimes a hard thing with casting RSC.
For Flo, there, I mean, I've appreciated what I've heard so far as the hybrid style of commentary, because
I've been liking it too.
There have been times where Flo has nothing to say,
and
she's straight up going into play-by-play, and it's relevant play-by-play. So it's like, it's not full-on radio play-by-play, it's taking color points and trying to integrate them into the play-by-play. Or trying to be poignant about whether it be the direction of the ball or...
Needs to get contact. It's deflected. It is touched, and it is still salvaged through. Akron fighting for it to hit the turf, and they have to put down the weapons because it's all over finally. 2-1 to open up Summer Series.
And again, for Stockton, it's still the story of that missed chance. They had, what would have been the tying goal to get it to overtime in their hands, and they just come up.
Damn, 11-6.
Stockton definitely had the better chances. They just weren't able to convert in the face of Akron defending their goal line heroically.
And I think being able to defend that goal line is obviously the staple of a lot of teams, but ideally you'd like to think that that play gets cut out in the midfield or maybe at the front of your defensive third, not right on your goal line. We saw Top Cheese come within pixels of times of getting those double taps, setting up those touches, and it seemed like the ideas are great from Stockton. So if this is just a warm-up game, then certainly they've been showing Akron what they're capable of, and I think Akron's been watching any of CRL in the past. They know what Stockton's capable of. They know they can't really get away with that, I think, once we get into game 2 and on.
Certainly, and Stockton has got to find a way past the Akron midfield, right? Like we alluded to, they're falling back to the goal line and defending that when they need to, but that's really plan C. Plan A and plan B are what we saw with Buzz. Turn early, turn aggressively, shut down Stockton before they can get anything set up. And in the process, I think they, for the most part, neutralized the threat of Top Cheese. We saw him have a couple opportunities on his own, especially with that missed double tap. But beyond that, he was not, the stellar player that we had come to expect and we saw last season in CRL.
No, not at all. And when you do have a team that knows one player has really been the one to step up, my concerns are always, does that team become top heavy? If they rely on one player too much, you really need to have everyone else step up if they're not there. Kind of like Patty, the newcomer, 1 second into game 2.
Wow.
It's tough for Warbean. He doesn't get the speed flip he's looking for and cannot get there in time.
I remember Warbean getting a lot of flack for that in the chat.
Already got the lead. 1 second gone. That's not really a better start that you could have hoped for.
And really, it has to be so frustrating for Stockton knowing it's fine, we made mistakes, but that's what game 2 is for. We fix those in 1 second. Almost, I would argue, the fastest possible goal you could have asked for within this game from a logistical standpoint. So now as we go into the rest of the game, I suppose a little bit of a handicap given to the side of Akron, or rather Stockton. So now it's up to them to answer on back. How about this one? Patty, they scored, but now they're the one caught out.
Yeah, and again, double commit from Akron. This time it's Patty left back on his own. There's nothing he can really do against Buzzy. I love that Akron are trying to go and play their strength. They're so good off the wall, off the ceiling, in the air. But unfortunately, if they go at 2 like that and you leave someone back, especially like that where he's defending the midfield line, it's game over from the get-go. And Stockton afforded a chance right back into this game.
So everything has been reset. It's fine. We're back to square one. All we've done is just lost about 30 seconds off the clock. Warbean certainly trying to make up for things with a solid challenge. Another bouncer out. Patty, deflection for Top Cheese to gather. They're not going to get the bounce they want. Tristan might. That's a double commit. It's still a fairly decent shot, but it will not be able to tuck into that back post. He's going to have to take it all the way back. Top Cheese certainly in tow, looking for that demo.
Yeah, and again, the double commit for Akron really kills off that attack. They had 2 people forward. I think it was Bussy who was left alone in net, and there's really nothing that Akron could have done there to mitigate. It's just one of the things that's going to come with time. You make a roster change like that, these things are going to happen, and Stockton haven't exactly been immune from it either. They just have not paid the prices heavily so far.
Another long, clear setup, though Tristan might want...
There. I appreciate that color call right there. Like, that's the 10 out of 10 color call that I was hoping for in that specific spot. Because you literally just saw the double commit. And we acknowledged the double commit. We talked about how relevant it is. And how often it's been happening. And then we finished with giving a more a game perspective. Like, yeah, Stockton's also been doing it, but they haven't been punished as much yet, you know? So it's like, well, it was building the storyline of the entire series, all the while acknowledging the fault that was literally just on the screen, right there, glaring in front of them, with the with the double commit, and there was multiple double commits. Like that's good. I need more of that.
Try number 2 on that.
Yeah, it's one thing to just point out a double commit, but like if you can build off that.
Exactly. Like in building off of those double commits, or building off of your color points, and turning it into a story, turning it into something that is usable for both parties is brilliant stuff. It's educational for the people who play at a high level. It's also educational for the people who are still trying to grasp this game. You know, it's relevant to every single party and every single potential viewer almost. And those are the things you love to see.
Yeah, I've been really trying to make an effort of that in the I'd say this year as a whole, of like when a mistake does happen, you know, not just focusing on the mistake, but you know, looking at like how it affects either the gameplay after that or how the gameplay leading up to it caused the mistake. Because mistakes happen all the time.
Yeah.
Mistakes happen all the time. Even pros make mistakes if you look close enough. They're just fast enough to recover that it's hard to see. And yeah, they do make good talking points. I'm curious how this game's gonna go.
It's a very
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm really being sold on the story by Taco and Flams.
Game of tennis Flams as this continues to go through,
There we
but
go.
it'll be intercut by a nice passing play. Warby and
From it either, they just have not paid the prices heavily so far.
There we go.
Yep.
so another long clear setup, though Tristan might want try number 2 on that. Buzz will be able to ride the final long clear. We're being right on in, and now we're very much looking like a long-form game of tennis Flams as this continues to go through, but it'll be intercut by a nice passing play. Warbean and Bussy both concerned enough for a double commit off that shot, so still well worked. Even if we are seeing some panicked clears, it can still evolve into some quality team play.
For sure, and I think Akron is one of those teams that for the longest time was known for how good their passes were, especially into the midfield. You know, you had Tristan off the wall, Buzz in the midfield, the reception. That was a deadly combo for the longest time, and they're still getting back to it here. They were beating Stockton routinely in the midfield to get themselves downfield. Stockton has kind of struggled. They've done enough to keep themselves on a level scoreboard here and still a neutral playing field, but Akron has looked the better team in the midfield.
And Warbean trying to put down a pass. Tristan was needed. And the save will come on through. Top Cheese trying to keep the attack alive. Over Patty, over Top Buzz, but right into the hood of Tristan. We're right into the midfield yet again. A long clear will again come on through. Bussy gets contact, but not enough. A calamity in the backfield.
And again, it's such a heads-up play from Tristan here. He's in a position where he can either jump if he needs to, or he can go take out the defense. Well played by Tristan. You still think Stockton might have been able to keep that one out, but either way, Akron find themselves with a lead.
So right at halftime, this is a lead.
And Flums ends it right before
Akron.
kickoff.
We'll see
Nice.
if that will stay that way, and we'll have another 2-1 game on our hands. But if I am a betting man, I'd like to think Stockton has something to say about that. Patty was needed. Great clear to be able to keep that back line from being touched on by Bussy. Top Cheese to the air. They've been quiet. How about right now? Straight on down with a waterfall, and Bussy can only hit that into the corner to keep possession. But again, Stockton just a little bit blunt-edged on all these attacks. Akron seems to have the answer on their back line.
Yeah, I think just the follow-up really has not been there for Stockton. You see Bussy this time trying to go himself, looking for the pass in the middle. Top Cheese gets there, but immediately met there by Tristan. The ball gets put back in by Wardsbean, and just no one there to follow up for Stockton. They're really taking turns, just putting it off the backboard, looking for the opening. The demo might do it. That one's over Tristan. Top Cheese is there to force it through. Tristan off the backboard for the squishy save, pays the price.
That's a little bit rough. Tristan going for something acrobatic, and then the slow play from really just the impact of the 50 in front of the goal completely curtails their plans. So good awareness by Top Cheese. It might not be the most theatrical goal like what we're used to, but just getting on in on a loose ball, dunking it through the defender is all you need. 2-2. We'll have to see what's going to be able to break this scoring deadlock now that Stockton seems to have finally found their footing, but they're going to need at least one more, which has been a difficulty.
And Stockton just needed to find something to get beyond smacking the ball at the backboard. They were doing a great job of keeping Akron honest and on their toes and getting themselves the pressure. As you can see here, Top Cheese again, the next one to put this one downfield. They were just struggling to turn that into legitimate scoring chances, and the demo is just such a powerful.
They get away with it because Bussy's inaccurate. Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
Now they're right back up in Akron's face trying to keep this one down as Patty will punt it downfield.
Quality 50, too high. Bussy's taking no chances. It's out to the corner for Tristan on the slow play. Baiting in Top Cheese, flicks over. Warbean gets a save
I think
and
tonight,
recovery. So
when I do my casting, I think I'm going to try and focus on just talking slower. Nice bomb.
Buzz does not leave. They're bumping the goalie, and they're putting Akron in the lead.
And again, right, the finish is there from Tristan.
Beautiful
this play
bomb.
Starts 15 seconds earlier. You had Tristan playing it slow. He's got two defenders completely pinned
So
and
good.
frozen on the goal line. At that point, you're sitting there. You have
Fitting that
Yeah.
Tristan would use the Phoenix Phoenix goal explosion.
And at that point,
Because this is kind of the renaissance, the rebirth
They can't do anything. They have to just sit and watch, and by the time
for
they can
Akron.
react, it's too late.
Given that Tristan is putting the full attention in.
Trying to keep possession. That's going to be a
And
long
don't tell me
impact
they're gonna
from
get
Bussy
first
into their own
swept, though.
corner. Not going to get any flick out. So
Please say they don't
comes
get
the
reverse
catch,
swept.
bumped away by
They
Buzz.
do not get
Patty,
reverse swept.
no contact. That could be a
Okay,
mistake, but Tristan bails them out. Quality clear. Extension by Buzz. Patty, one more touch. They got Buzz waiting in the middle. They're going to
Oh,
wait
good
out
bump.
and play it a little bit calmer. I don't blame him, but with 20
Wow.
seconds remaining, you can't give a 2-on-1. Demos are the theme today. 3-3.
I mean, again, it's well played by Stockton. It's absolutely textbook. You've got the 2-on-1. Whoever's in front just gives up to go get the demo. You've seen it in your
So
ranked
good.
games a million times. You've seen it in professional games. It's the way to play. Well done, Stockton. Get themselves back in. They get the sniff of a chance, and they get themselves right back in. It's the hallmark of a top team. They're not going
Bombs
to go down
makes a
without
good
fight.
point, but I wish my
And that's
teammates
how
knew
tenuous
that.
these games can be. All it comes down to is one play. How about this one? Top cheese quick to it. Buzz
That's when the
Patty
commentary
up
hits the
middle, Patty
hardest.
up forward. Bussy
Like, can somebody
uncontested,
tell my-
double tap straight
Ooh.
down, and 0 seconds. Stockton taking game 2.
The kickoff just doesn't go the way of Akron.
Yeah, I
and
can-
Bussy
yeah, I
with
can
a
channel
great
that
play on the
trauma.
backboard. Beats Tristan, beats Patty, and does enough to get it
Great
past
shot
Buzz.
and great
All the
cast
credit to
by
Bussy to
Taco
put that
too.
game to rest, but Akron with a ball from Grace in the last 20 seconds, they pay the price, giving first the 2v1 away and then the kickoff goal to really shoot themselves in the foot.
And on top of that, I didn't think Stockton would have to reach that far into their.
This stream brought to you by.
The next ad. Never ending ads.
Oh, but gee whiz, I love TikToks. Oh. I don't think any waitress in the history of the world has ever told someone to use Indeed for their resume. I'm gonna say that right now. You might have to cut the tapes on. I'm gonna say that
turning it
right
into the
now.
functional best of 3 that we always do, like with a tied series. But yeah, for Akron, I mean, that's a rough thing to cope with. I had mentioned the beginning of that 3-on-3 goal to tie things up late in the game really came off of just a weak touch on the backboard and them deciding to play passive. They take their foot off the gas, and sometimes you pay the price for that.
Yeah, that's just how it's going to be sometimes. I mean, in all fairness, though, Stockton did a great job of capitalizing on their chances. You know, the scoreboard's a little deceiving. Stockton with way many shots than Akron, but I think, you know, over the course of the game, Akron has the better opportunities. Stockton is just lethal in the, you know, the 4 chances they get. You know, Bussy at the end, obviously with a great piece of mechanical play, but, you know, with the demo, the 2v1, it's well played by Stockton. When they get the few chances, they know that the dagger needs to go in and to finish it right there and then, and they do a great job of that to get themselves back into the series.
And so moving on into this next thing, I think the main thing that I'm noticing from Stockton is that they're having a lot of real estate on that backboard for Akron. There's been
I
at
just
least
say the
3 or
Mayan
4
thing.
times across the series where it looks like Bussy or Top Cheese has been going for a double, and I have not seen a player able to get that clear. If you're allowing the mechanics to come through against Stockton, then it's probably going to be a losing fight. But at least for right now, we are dead even in this series. Our opener for the 2022 Summer Series, Akron and Stockton just trying to find out a way to solve this chess match that this series has evolved into.
And you're definitely right that they've been relying on the double taps as well, but I think that's also a function of how they've been playing, right? There hasn't been all that much support in the midfield. If there's no one to pass to, then by default, until the backboard is closed for business, that's going to be your best option and your best chance of scoring. And Stockton knows that and has done a good job of exploiting it. So Akron's going to have to do something to get themselves out of danger more often than not. You know, they haven't been playing the backboard. It hasn't been that necessary, but it's becoming a necessity here, quick and fast.
The quality 50 coming through from Top Cheese. However, Patty cleverly slows things down. Warbean speeds it right back up. Long clear into Tristan. Not the cleanest touch, though. Warbean was trying to pre-flip into it, and thankfully, Akron getting away with that one.
I
These
really
loose
like what
touches will
Taco did
certainly
there,
get doubled
Kendo.
up every single time if you're given Stockton.
I really
any
like
looks
he
at
was
it.
talking about the previous 50, but then
Yeah.
he catches up by saying, and then Warbean speeds it up.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Playing
Go
the
over it
backboard,
again.
it hasn't been that necessary, but it's becoming a necessity here, quick and fast.
The quality 50 coming through from top cheese. However, Patty cleverly slows things down. Warbean speeds it right back up. Long clear into Tristan. Not the cleanest touch though. Warbean was trying to flip into it.
Because he's he's talked about the previous play while new one's developing, but then as it reaches a new point of interest, he transitions into it with and Warbean speeds it right back up. Like that was.
While it may sound contradictory to give 3 different feels with your wordings immediately back and forth like that, it also creates the mental vision of there's a lot of chaos. You take into consideration the amount of physical play that has gone into a lot of the recent goals from the last game and into here. The game rapidly changing both its pace, like you're getting a point of conflict without it being an actual point. The point of conflict at the moment is the pace of the game. Like, who is going to wrest control from that pace of the game? And that is the question that's being raised.
Yeah, I get whiplash sometimes from the caster curses. You know, it's like if you hype it up a team's defense, and is that a long ball from the corner, slow rolling in?
Oh yeah.
Where's the third?
Where is the third? Indeed, it's somewhere.
It's like I think that happened with times, like, you know, their rotations have looked so clean, and then just team bump sent to the moon. It's come on, like, let me have my point.
Just one point. That's it.
Let me just get this point off. You know, let me finish my sentence before you bump each other.
Yeah, that is. I do agree. I like the way that it gives this cast a little bit of a different feel going into game 2. Makes it chaotic, but at the same time, it keeps your interest on exactly that.
Bussy bumps Patty out of the way. That's going to get them a lot of space. Top G's lurking in the middle. Has to turn back. Doesn't have any boost in the tank. Tristan will try to go himself. Comes up empty.
And that's where I like the quick throw. Like, if Flo doesn't have anything, don't be afraid to spot a little bit of play-by-play. And this is where Flo's really done a great job of developing herself. You had someone who was really hard color commentary. Very rarely was ever able to flex into play-by-play. But in all honesty, every single one of us need to know how to play-by-play well enough that we can, you know, keep the ball up and get it to throw. Because the play-by-play is one of the best devices to utilize to, you know, get that perfect handoff. You have to be running about the same speed in order to hand off the baton. You know what I mean? So giving somebody that comfortable throw is so important.
I mean, it's a nice way to, I guess, set up the play-by-play for a like, you know, a play-by-play point, and because, like, if you finish your color and then they pick up the play-by-play, you know, it can be a little disconcerting at some points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, when you play-by-play into their play-by-play, you know, I try to do that when I'm handling the play-by-play, or when I'm forced to hybrid like that, in a position where I need to make play-by-play, or I fall back to play-by-play.
Indeed. I love it.
A good cast so far. I'm liking it.
Oh yeah. Completely agree with you.
Top cheese aiding in Patty, and who's going to slow play it. They will be able to get.
I mean, there's literally only minor tweaks
The answer enough. It will
that I would see being needed.
Buzz will try to get a bump on the way out, but ultimately We have it settled into, I think, exactly the game 3 that we were all waiting for in game 1. Back and forth, both teams really waiting quite some time to get the first goal on board. What's it going to take? Maybe a double tap. Patty going for it, but well challenged by Warbean.
And Busty was up quite early for that. He knew what was coming and was up early to defend so, and does. Stockton get themselves out here. Great play by Top Cheese over the top. The breakaway for Stockton is on. Akron racing back. Buzz with a good touch in the corner to keep it.
So when you get, like, a natural repetition like that, Top Cheese over the top, utilizing your tone is where it can be the most powerful. Like, you don't need to...
What was coming and was up early to defend so, and does. Stockton get themselves out here. Great play by Top Cheese over the top. The breakaway for...
So great play by Top Cheese over the top. You know, just adding a little bit of a difference in your voice to almost create that, yeah, we said this on purpose. It's almost like a wink and a nod vocally. Great play by Top Cheese instead of great... here, I mean, we'll listen to it one more time.
Quite early for that. He knew what was coming and was up early to defend so, and does. Stockton get themselves out here.
But this is like commentary 405. Like, this is highly advanced that I'm working with. Like, I'm not saying it's a necessary class by any stretch of the imagination, but as I've listened to myself over the last 5 years, one of the things that I've worked on refining is I get into points where you'll have a name like Top Cheese, and there'll be spots where the ball is over the top. But if I can transition it with the right vocal tone, with proper break, with a little bit of cadence added in, it adds to it even more than just saying Top Cheese over the top.
Great play by Top Cheese over the top. The breakaway for Stockton is on. Akron racing.
Great play by Top Cheese over the top. The play is on. You know, just continue just that little bit of tone addition, raising up. I feel adds a different texture, a pleasure almost, to the way that the word was casted. Granted, I might just be talking out my rear.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we're gonna continue here.
Back Buzz with a good touch in the corner to keep it out of danger, but it's not over yet. Warbean will get it onto the backboard, but eat a demo for his troubles, and that's really going to blunt the offense from Stockton. Top Cheese resorts to putting it on the backboard, looks to drop it in front. Buzz will be there and get it set over to the top of one.
We're being high. Busty, they're already up for it. Are they looking for the pass?
I'll...
Is on. Akron racing back. Buzz with a good touch in the corner to keep it out of danger, but it's not over yet. Warbean will get it onto the backboard, but eat a demo for his troubles, and that's really going to blunt the offense from Stockton. Top Cheese resorts to putting it on the backboard, looks to drop it in front. Buzz will be there and get it set over to the top.
I give Flo credit just due to understanding, okay, this is not a good point to throw. Carried it a little bit longer. It ended up sounding just a tad awkward, but not everybody is going to hear that, you know? Let's see here.
Yeah, it is something as well that I've kind of been noticing what we're doing is like when I pick something up that another character says and it sounds off to me, I'm like, oh, maybe they made a gap there. It's like, but the people at home don't notice. And like same with what I do, or like when I make a mistake and I get worried about it, I'm like, wait, they probably didn't notice it because it's going so quickly.
Yeah, most of the time they don't. Like, straight up. I literally tell people that whenever I do some of these workshops or when I do one-on-one mentoring, it's like I refer to it as nitpicking for a reason. Because you come to a certain point in your commentary where it's no longer about the fundamentals. It's no longer about your structure. It's no longer about this is the way it should be done. It becomes about how are you going to better your own personal presentation to create your sound. And where it gets it highly advanced would be if somebody wanted to just straight up and be like, okay, this is why this element of your sound sucks. Like those are the toughest conversations. Those are the tough conversations because you have somebody who's established themselves enough, they've developed a confidence, they like what they sound like, and all the fundamentals are grand. But there ends up being this critical error, or it can cause your teammate to hiccup in the moment. And those conversations are hard conversations, but at the same time, they're very needed. And those are really the ones where if you have the ability to have the conversation at that high a level, good on you. Not too many people can. I wish more people would tell me how my sound sucks. You know? But, you know, we'll continue to hone everything in. But I say I'm nitpicking because it truly is about the honing down of your sound to a point where, you know, what are you doing when you're honing? You're sharpening. You're getting to the smallest point. That way you can pierce through so much easier. You know what I mean? It's you want that sharpness to be what leads your commentary. Because it gives you more control. It gives you the opportunity to hammer home points that'll leave your listener scarred for life. You know? And by that I mean they're gonna remember. It's those clippable offenses in life that truly do make what we do so special. You know? I'd be a fool not to say that one of the reasons why I commentate is because of how impactful those moments in my life were. Off the floor, on the board, Paul Correa. By God, it's an RKO out of nowhere! You know, all of these little things, they leave a moment in your memory. Yeah, that's the important thing. That's the moment. That's finding the moment. That's living for the moment. Anywho.
Being high. Bussy, they're already up for it. Are they looking for the pass? I believe so, but it's going to be late. Speaking of, that's a late challenge. Patty open double, and they will nail it home.
And for Stockton, they were
I like
looking
that
for something
Patty
different.
open
They haven't
double.
gone to those passing plays as much, and whoever was down in the central of the park just not ready. And Patty with a freebie off the backboard, he's never going to miss that one, even though it's a tough angle. Good stuff from Patty will give Akron the lead.
So yet again, it is Akron carving out a lead. They've had no shortage of leads in this game, however, or in the series rather, but it comes down to the crunch time. You got to finish out these games. How long is this lead going to last? Not long, apparently. A flawless pass off the wall.
So many quick answers.
And once again, the Akron backboard open for business. This time it was Buzz who opted to turn rather than go up the backboard. He can't get up and pays the price for it.
And we're going to see a technical pause coming in as Buzz is frantically typing to the admins. I believe that we're trying to get someone a little bit cleaner connection here. So we'll be awaiting the answer on whether or not that goal will stand or whether or not we're going to have to reset this lobby. But either way, we don't get timeouts in the summer series, but now we functionally do have one. And if you're sitting on the side of either, I suppose, Akron or Stockton, Vumps, what are you telling these players as someone potentially in like a coaching role?
Stockton have got to get the passing play going. You know, it's great to be able to score.
That is how you set up. Oh, it's so good. Like you want you want to take masterclass notes right there? Oh, oh, oh. Now the fun part is Taco can set people up like this, and more often than not, people will leave. Maybe Taco's usually thinking 2 or 3 points ahead. It's like, okay, this is something that I want to talk about. I'm gonna I'm gonna throw an underhanded pitch, see if they knock it out of the park. But if they don't, I'll knock it out for them. I'm on deck. You know, and this is gonna be fun because we're gonna get to hear Flo, who is just as good as Taco on the analytical side, give an answer to a very poignant question. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah, of course.
I'll just start it just so we can hear the.
But either way, we don't get timeouts in the summer series, but now we functionally do have one. And if you're sitting on the side of either, I suppose, Akron or Stockton Vumps, what are you telling these players as someone potentially in like a coaching role?
Stockton have got to get the passing play going. You know, it's great to be able to score the double taps and go for it all the time, but as soon as Akron has got someone on the backboard, then, you know, that's not going to be a recipe for success anymore. And even on that last goal, you saw Buzz opt to turn and go for the aerial rather than defend the backboard. If he goes up the backboard there, he probably gets it long downfield, and then Stockton's in a dangerous position. And, you know, going for those double taps all the time, again, a great play when you can, but as soon as you can't, you need a backup plan, which is pass into the midfield and play maybe a little bit safer. And, you know, the one time they tried that pass in the midfield, they paid the price for it with Patty running it down.
And so as we're getting into this rest of the series, as we're figuring out this technical pause, we'll be resetting the server, so getting players back in and trying to reset the time, I believe. So no still answer on whether or not that goal will stand, but at least when it comes to the Stockton passing play, I would have to agree that that is really the bread and butter of any top level.
This is a long pause, by the way.
Be able to set them up with reasonable
Just letting you know ahead of time.
However, on the Akron side, I really like the passing that they've worked.
Well, we can gauge how they feel for time.
I feel like the first shot comes in, I don't see the follow-up. And if you don't have that consistent follow-up against Stockton, I think their mechanics alone, just being able to air dribble out of the backfield, makes them being able to dissipate that pressure fairly easily.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Akron's strongest point throughout the series has been their ability to find each other in the midfield and transition onto the offense. But once they find themselves there, you know, beyond the occasional spark of brilliance, I think Tristan holding up play in front of the goal comes to mind. They've struggled to really find themselves in, you know, pristine scoring opportunities where they're going to be putting that away every single time. And they've scored by just banging on the door enough that the door eventually opens, you know, and for the few times that hasn't worked out is where Stockton have had the breakaway opportunities down the other side, as previously mentioned, and they've been able to finish them that way.
And so a lot of the casters were in a group call earlier on, just chatting, yelling at each other for our predictions, our power rankings. And part of this, we kept coming back to say, it's so tough to do this week one because we haven't seen these teams play yet. There's roster changes. That's the fun part of Summer Series. It's a preview for what's to come in the fall. So with what I've seen so far, my prediction was very much so on the side of Stockton, but I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing from Akron here. And apparently we do have the new lobby up. We do have players getting in to try to test the pings out. So we're getting so much closer continuing out this series, but at least when it comes for the side of Akron coming on in with the new players, I would suppose for Patty and Warbean, I think they're fitting in fairly well so far, but you can tell that there's a bit of tension where the playstyles aren't quite meshed as much as I believe these teams would probably want them to be at this point.
You absolutely read my mind. That's actually exactly what I was going to bring up. I think especially, you know, in the first
Kendall,
10 minutes
for
of play,
broadcasts like this of this high quality, like, do you prepare talking points in the event of breaks, or?
Not always, but we should.
No. Okay.
In all honesty, like, there should be prepared thought processes. Like, a lot of the times you go to notes because you can't always predict. So, like, if you had a generally for me, when I write out, I've got usually a talking point for every player. See if I can find.
Okay.
So I go back to some CRLB stream stuff. This is from 2021. We had Akron Zips versus Florida Poly. I wrote down just a couple of talking points for Florida Poly. It's amazing to see them make it through again. Dash. Their speed and pacing. Watch. Like, this was pregame. Florida Poly was always a team that was much faster than the average low-end team. When I say low-end, as in low-end qualifying team. So they had the speed to keep up with the fastest in the league. They didn't always use it properly. So I had that as a reminder. I also wrote down with a star, consistency is a past concern. So I had 3 talking points right there. You also could talk about the fact that they were one of the longest tenured teams. You had 3 players who had been playing together for almost an entire 4 years. Like, you had 2 players that had been together 4 years. The entire roster had been together 3 years. So, like, this was their great senior moment, you know? Let's see here. Then we also had for Akron, we had Buttons. So we had a couple notes on Buttons. Buttons was part of Buzz and Reticence, so Buttons was the one in for Tristan. One of the talking points I had for Akron was their system, because they are a very systematic team. Especially Buzz and Reticence can really whittle that system down into a 2-person game. But so it's like, you got the same stratagem and you have the same exact tenacity. You're not going to see Buzz and Reticence stop themselves from being Buzz and Reticence just because they have a different third. There's going to be a moment where they have to trust their third. This is going to be the most critical point of this match. Like, I literally had an entire down the line 3 or 4 storyline, prediction fuel, just stuff to talk about throughout. And this was just in my notes, and it went out. And I'll show you. It literally all fit into 1/3 of a single page. So, like, we cut it down quite a bit. We abbreviated some of what we were trying to say.
Wow. Yeah, because, like, for some of these, like, it's like smaller casts that I've been doing where the Arby's breaks, it's like, it's really hard to come up with a point to talk about when it's like a longer than normal break.
Well, yeah, and that is where a lot of your casts that are smaller, and by smaller I mean like more community style, you're not always going to have the stats. You're not always going to have the history. You're not always going to be able to lean back on your prior experiences. At that point, you want to have a general thought that is like pre-programmed that you go to. Having 2 or 3 of them is brilliant because you can go into that mode. Like, I approach the smaller community stuff or like high school stuff where you have one team that's just thrashing the other team in the exact same way. I may not know, Bob's high school from, Steve's high school, but I know that Bob's high school, yes, they may be getting smacked here, but that's not on them as much as it is Steve's high has this young upstart star. So what can you do? Well, you have to adjust your pace of play and continue to look for little minute ways to improve. So and I'm giving you kind of the basic gist of my thought process on this kind of actively. It's like, this is the storyline I want to interweave. It's a general storyline. It's an applicable storyline. Is it fluff? 1,000%. But it's good fluff. It's age-old fluff. It's the type of fluff that they made the Lord of the Rings after. You know? It's talking about the underdog. It's bringing in the idea of, you may not get to see it here, but for Bob's high school, this right here might just be the start of the training arc to enter an anime thought process. And if you can get people who are listening excited about the idea of a team that just got beat down 15-0 live on a stream,
that's an impressive feat.
Yeah. And you can, if you get on that horse early, you can use the fact that they got beat by 5-0 in game 2 as fuel for that. It's like, hey, you know, they still haven't scored their first goal, but they are doing much better here in game number 2. This time last game, they were down by 13. Right now, they're looking quite improved. We'll see if they can continue to make adjustments going into game 3. This one, all but over, but I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, you know? So little things like that can go a very long way. Gucci?
I think so. Gucci, as I like to say.
Don't follow me down that rabbit hole, please.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's not make Gucci a thing. Oh no. Been hanging out with too many people with Gucci bags. No, I'm joking.
Oh wow, that's a flex.
It looked a lot cleaner to me. I think, game 3.
I only know one.
Doors than game
He's
1
one
and
of the
2.
co-owners for KCP.
Far fewer mistakes. Both teams are playing much more cleanly. You didn't see Tristan and Buzz double committing downfield on the aerials. You didn't see Top Cheese and going for the double taps in conjunction with Warbean. It was a much cleaner game 3, and I think that's where the defense has started to shine, and both teams are going to have to find something a little more creative to get themselves the goals they need to push forward, as we alluded to earlier.
Creativity, I think, is the number one thing, as well as just, I would say, you could argue the opposite of creativity, just the sheer physical play, getting demos, obviously playing a massive role by bumping out of the defenders.
Donkey!
How about the defenders just want to be?
Defenders just want to be. We're close. We're getting closer. Closer still.
Closer.
Yes. Yes! Thor! What a flippin' jerk. For that one time Thor was my next door neighbor. What a guy.
Clearing them straight off the field. You could argue the opposite of creativity, just the sheer physical play, getting demos, obviously playing a massive role by bumping out of the defenders or just clearing them straight off the field in game number 2.
They've been talking for a good time.
It's a huge element of how far we've come within Collegiate Rocket League, but also just in the professional scene as well, where the defense has gotten so clean that at times, even with good passing, even with good extensions out of defense on counterattacks, sometimes you just have to throw someone out of the way to be able to clear a path for you. We've seen it a couple times in the series, and I don't think it's really really going to slow down, especially now that we've seen Akron get pinned up against their backboard. They're sitting on their back line. If you're a sitting duck, I would not be surprised if Stockton takes a trick out of their hat by saying, hey, let's just send a deep third through there, clear someone out, and see if that will be able to pay any dividends. And we'll be able to see it very soon because we do have the lobby ready. We do have everyone back on in, and we will be able to reset that clock to about halfway to continue this game 3 after a decent amount of time up for teams to just collect their thoughts, I suppose.
Yeah, and to go back to what you said about demos, you're absolutely right. It's, it's one of the tools of the trade, and it's one of those things where if you're in the right place at the right time, oftentimes it's objectively the best play, right? You find yourself in front of the play. In the instance there was a 2v1 in last game that we found ourselves something like that. You go for a demo that's just, baked into Rocket League at this point, and both teams doing a good job to kind of get that one going. So we're back to a tie game, 2:15 left on the clock. Busty's going to have a shot here. No one's going to be there. Buzz will have to get it off the goal line. Also in play, Top G's into the middle looking for Busty. Won't make contact, and we'll allow Patty to get this one downfield and flick him downfield.
That was a good job by Busty to be able to predict that. They're just back enough to be able to get that deflection, and Patty will send Top G's to the graveyard. Luckily, Warbean is there for the long clear to be able to let their teammate respawn in and start from scratch. Speaking of, Patty, another flick. Keeping it close, keeping it somewhat under control is somewhat of a new approach from Akron. We haven't seen too many solo plays come through.
They haven't had to. They've been so good at finding each other in the midfield and get it immediately downfield that the solo plays haven't been explicitly necessary. That's a solo play, though. Great angle from Bussy.
Where is the backboard? It's something we keep talking about. Patty in no man's land. They have to jump for it only because it's the only option. But as we've seen, Bussy, they missed a couple, but when it has counted, they have pounded that one right down on and in. 94 seconds on the clock. Akron has to get some form of answer because Stockton's offense is starting to really speed up.
Yeah, and like you said, the backboard defense not there, but at the same time, the ball gifted to Bussy and pretty much invited to put it off the backboard in the first place. Sure, the backboard defense isn't there, but at the same time, if you prevent that from coming in the first place, backboard defense not needed. I think that's where Patty
Buzz was trying.
Playing the midfield, not expecting that to be a freebie into the middle. Potentially.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta full send.
Coordination.
That's what Stockton's doing right now with their challenges.
Trading sides, going coast to coast, left and right across the field with some of these pinches, as another one will pinch right into the center. Tristan just going to backflip that somewhere in the midfield. Good beat by Warby and Bussy. Can they do it again? No double. It's right to the top shelf for Tristan to clap away. Top cheese on the near post. Addy will be able to collect it again. Trying to keep it close, not wanting to throw it away, but it's so difficult as you see Warbean just going through the back end, stealing some boost. Stockton really wants to try and starve out this Akron defense, and so far, it's doing a good job. They haven't had too much in the form of offense. This has been their best chance. All 3 players involved, but no shot coming through.
No shot coming through indeed, and for both teams, again, the shots are coming in. The initial efforts are there, but the follow-ups are just lacking. You saw Stockton, I think it was Bussy who was on an air dribble, had Top G's down to his left. He drops that and leaves Top G's in a 1v1. He probably scores pretty much every time, but opts to take the shot instead. Yeah, it forces a keeper out of the way, but at the end of the day, it's probably not the most dangerous play.
See a bunch of misses. Bussy and Patty continuing the tradition. Tristan, that's an open dribble. Patty with the lead block, but Top Cheese says no. Spiked into the ground. They
hurts the soul, doesn't it?
Stockton snuffed it out. They will be taking game 3.
And Stockton at the close. What a save from
Top Cheese. Like literally right there.
Just about enough to keep that one onto the ground and spike it into game 4. Well played by Stockton. And Akron so close, yet so far. They put it off till they can't dig deep enough for it.
And the especially tough thing about that is that if you have really anyone on Akron to get that dribble, you'd have to think that would be Tristan. They get the flick off, they have a lead blocker, but unfortunately they don't get enough around it to push it to the back post, and it will be saved down. But again, even with that not going through, with Stockton getting another victory, that is how quickly the series can turn on a dime. These teams play at such a high level, and yet the mistake comes in, the open dribbles, the uncontested aerials come on through, and that's really what makes the difference here. I want a very clean game going down the stretch, but it seems like this is a series that is somewhat punctuated simply just by who is able to make the fewest mistakes.
Yeah, and on a tangent, I'm sure that's one where Tristan would have loved to have his dominance back over the Octane that he's playing right now. But, hey, I think you're absolutely right. The few mistakes that we have seen have been the best options of the game, especially, right, that last one comes to mind. Top G's there to make the save. It's both teams. I've said it before. I'll say it again. They need to come up with something different, right? The Stockton side is still relying on that backboard. They've got a few chances. I think it was Bussy scoring the double tap in the last game. The defense from Akron still not on the backboard. And on the flip side for Akron, the passes into the midfield are still working, but once they get themselves down there, they've got their hands in their pockets without a plan. They need to come up with something to break the Stockton defense.
Especially need to come up with something soon. Otherwise, this series is done and dusted. Stockton on match point. We're to Utopia. See if Akron has anything else to offer here outside of just those quality passing plays, because apparently that's not enough. Patty, how about sharpshooter finishing, top shelf far post, and that's an early lead.
Yeah, and I think it was Buzz who takes the 50 against Warbean. Great 50 by Buzz, gets it right into the zone, and then like you said, the snipe to the top left corner by Patty. Well done. Akron on the board early. Once again, it's been a story throughout the series. Akron has scored first, and Stockton has been forced to play from behind. And they've done so well so far, so we'll have to see if they can do it one more time to put this to bed.
It's a quality air dribble that Warbean has been the...
If I remember correctly, Akron scored first in every single game so far.
A worrying trend.
Trying to get in on that free jump action, but I am getting a bump here. Warbean.
Definitely a feels bad, man.
They're pretty much on the rhythm here, as they're going to have to wait for support. Bussy with a deflection, top cheese. Sees Bussy lurking upfield, maybe trying to spike it to them. Tristan left alone, and they'll catch it away. And it seems like now, Akron just trying to focus on that clean rotation. They're all in position, waiting for the Stockton offense to come to.
That was so well played by Warbean on the side. He buys a huge amount of time for both of his teammates to get back. Stockton committed 3 men forward on that play in the form of 1 person air dribbling and 2 people going for demos. Warbean knows that, and he opts to play slow on the sidewall, buys a ton of time for Stockton to get themselves back into position, continue the offense, and reap the rewards.
After that goal goes in, every single on Akron just pause, because they know that's a frustrating goal to go on through. Just cleaned into the back wall, the sidewall rather, and then an open shot, an absolute laser.
It's almost painful to watch again.
Cheese, and yet again, it comes down to something a little precarious.
too much trauma.
And then suddenly everything goes sideways. Same with this touch. Patty was lurking just in case, but Warbean got just enough.
Got just enough indeed, and he does one more, gets it downfield. It's going to be met by Akron in the air, but the ball's still present here. Buzz gets it across only as far as Warbean opts to put in the ceiling. I think he's looking for support, which he won't get. Patty will be afforded a little bit of space to get this one downfield. Doesn't get the second dodge he's looking for. Still on the ball is Patty, met by Bussy. Tristan looks for the pass in the midfield, but that will leave Buzz in a little bit of an awkward situation, which he manages well.
Top cheese, slow play, gets knocked away. Patty, no man's land. Bussy double tap at the bar. Had other plans. A tough thing to read, but that might come back to haunt him, as we will remain at a 1-1. And you're serving up Tristan, awkward angle. Warbean able to cover.
Yeah, and again, for Stockton, it's the same as game 1. They had the go-ahead goal, which would have turned in the overtime, the goal to force overtime that they didn't get. Again, it's a story of regret for Stockton. The pass is up. That's a double commit. Warbean will come back down for it. Allows Bussy to go. Gets the 50, but no shot available for Bussy.
Patty just clearing that forward, and I would say it's a giveaway, but apparently they're able to get a 50 on it. Tristan will not beat top cheese. Warbean rushing it. Patty gets to it first. Bussy up quickly. So is Buzz. Another deflection. Tristan fully boosted, but they're at midfield. They can't get to it quickly enough, and you see the openings that start to present themselves for both sides, but boost is always going to be a crucial resource, and sometimes you just got to move on out. Able to wait for the next one. Warbean learning that lesson right there. They're out of resources. That's another giveaway. Tristan taking it the far away, but busted rather, as we combine these players, able to get the clear.
Yeah, and the backboard defense has been better and better for
They're
both
busting,
sides.
all right.
Tristan off the ceiling this time. Warbean early to meet. Great play. I got to say, I've been really impressed with Warbean's ability to get up early and challenge in the midfield. Tristan, one of those players that's so good off the ceiling. If you give him that space, he's going to take it every time. Warbean has done a great job of shutting down the plays where possible. He's not going to jump for this one. He's going to let it go off the backboard and challenge instead, and eats a demo for his troubles.
And certainly eating a demo is not a fun way to be able to spend your evening. You want to be able to be on the field affecting play. Not like Top Cheese is doing from this tough angle. No pass required, but maybe to get past Buzz, there will be something added in later to the strategy. Dunk down from Buzz. They keep on going. A brilliant pass, and Warbean has to bail out Stockton. Akron getting close.
It's showtime.
No! Why? The timing on these! It's like somebody from Twitch is literally going through these VODs. It's absolutely painful.
and closer, but they just can't put in that final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, and Warbine again has been the one on the goal line doing all the work for Stockton. He takes the pre-jump, forces the pass in field, and is going to afford Top G's a little bit of time on the ball here. Bussy and Top G's have got to get their act together here. They're leaving Warbine alone on the back. He's going to be able to get in. He takes the pre-jump, forces the pass in field, and is going to afford Top G's a little bit of time on the ball here. Bussy and Top G's have got to get their act together here. They're leaving Warbine alone on the back. He's going to be able to get a demo and buy the pre-jump, forces the pass in field, and is going to afford Top G's a little bit of time on the ball here. Bussy and Top G's have got to get their act together.
it,
Patty! Alone on the back. He's going to be able to get a demo and buy his team a much-needed time to get himself out. Takes the 50 as well. Well played by Warbine to get Stockton out of a tough spot. They've been on the defensive end for a solid 30 seconds.
Benching a couple 50s is Warbine, and as he has said, a really smart player when it comes to that. They've been slowing down the play spectacularly and generating a pass to Bussy. They will not miss the open net. Akron in dire straits, 42 seconds away from the first series loss.
And the double commit from Akron isn't great, but Warbine just gets there so fast, dumps into the middle, and Bussy's never going to miss from there. 40 seconds left for Akron to stay alive in this series. We'll have to see if they have what it takes.
It's going to come down to just the tiny things, whether or not Tristan is allowed all this time in the solo play. How about this one, the flip reset? Bussy coming from almost the blind side up from the far corner, able to reject it away. Buzz with the extension, a brilliant touch, and Top Cheese took no chances. The pre-flip save, Patty into the middle, but another long clear, and Akron as close as you can get. It is still just not enough.
It's not enough indeed. Patty with a missed touch, and he will get across in time to deny Top Cheese. That's the goal that would have sealed the deal. Warbine will put it back in. 10 seconds left on the clock here. Patty passes to Tristan. Tristan will slow it down, looks to get a pinch into the midfield. Denied by Bussy. Bussy's still following this, trying to deny Patty.
Oh, what a fake. Oh, Warbine. Oh, no.
Number 2 team in
I didn't even say it was that kind of. That game was close.
Championship, and it looked like maybe that
It was.
title was coming into contention in the beginning, but
After they lost game 3, I'm like, yeah, Stockton's gonna win this in 4. We're gonna see Akron go hero mode.
7 shots from Top Cheese alone.
Not a single human being will be able to carry.
It felt like Stockton at times was really just having a vice grip on this series.
I think it was just a function of getting themselves up to speed. You know, you saw the first game where Akron seemed to be the dominant team, and then progressively as the series goes on and we get closer and closer to a close, Stockton's are the ones that are on the front foot pretty much the entire time.
And it's a tough thing to see, but what is not tough to see is our good friend Vaudible meeting at the test to be able to see really what's going on here after we wrap up.
What was
that? For me, I'm always fascinated to see really all our reactions, so I suppose we'll be able to go to a break, be able to collect ourselves, and be able to see what's coming up next here on the CCA Summer Series.
Apparently they weren't ready to bring Vaudible in. Feels bad.
No. So that was a good cast, though, from Popcorn Clones. I like that one.
I like Ball State. Bruton, but they broke it. Bottom right corner, Bruton Parker. Just below the Ball State, above the timer.
Oh, I didn't see. Oh no! When the name's too long for one line, I guess.
B Parker. Actually, still to this day, this thing slaps so hard. It's good 1 year later.
No.
It's called U-Block Origin. How you doing, JT? Ooh. Gosh, it slaps so hard.
And and we are back after a very interesting series to say. We were talking about it during the break and just came up with both those teams need to get past their growing pains, figure out exactly their strategy, and then after that, they'll look better throughout the rest of league play itself. But that's why it's nice to see them at the beginning. We'll compare them with their rosters and their performances later on. So far, as you just saw, or if you weren't tuning in, Stockton 3-1 in that series. Every single game going to 1-goal differential. That's how we like to start things out. No blowouts, exclamation point Bumney in the chat there. But this next one really has the new blood of the summer series coming to bear for our next matchup, gentlemen, or excuse me, Taco and Floms that we have as well. So,
He almost said gentlemen.
College and Ball State, both new colleges, both new
Oh,
teams.
no.
What can we really expect from
Yeah,
them?
that's
I think the main thing I'm
yeah.
looking for is really return
I
like that,
understand.
that have been out of the scene for a little bit. If you look at Bruton Park,
Yar har being a pirate. Oh, JT.
You know or remember the name Melodic from the bubble scene. You know that they are incredibly cracked. They have a lot of talent, and then on top of that, they have Antics and Solus flanking them on the side. So there is a lot of skill to be said about this, and this is the interesting thing about.
I had an interview with a pirate lately, JT.
No name university in the middle of
Last
nowhere.
weekend.
You recruit the right roster, and you can just
May or may not have had an interview with Captain Jack Sparrow.
Ball State, I think, has had a lot of
Oh?
names as well as
Wait.
just a lot of high
There was cosplayers at the event I was at, and we got to do some
We'll have to
fun
see
little
how the
interviews in and
competition
around
is
the
here,
event.
too. And Flo, I know you were talking
I might have
about
challenged
players
Captain
on
Jack to a
Parker
race.
College. What can we really expect from?
Did you win?
We mentioned
I was
Melodic,
subsequently
other
shot
players on
afterward.
that team, or even Ball State to
Oh.
really look out for.
Yeah, it was bad. I'm looking forward to seeing the video from all that.
New teams, yet seeing Daffy, who's
It's gonna be
one of the
golden.
longest tenured players in
The
CRL,
Captain
playing
Jack
back
way.
in 2017 when I was playing. So it's really cool to see some old faces come back and pop up once in a while. I think on the side of Bruton Parker, to go with Melodic, the name that stands out to me is Solus. He's a high level ones player. He's really good. I think for Bruton Parker, the name of the game is just going to be speed.
Solus
and try to
is
outpace
very
the
good.
opposing team.
That is
Yes.
With Ball State, that poses an interesting conundrum. Are we going to try to
Solus,
play
very good.
blow for blow, match their pace, or try to do one better, or do we slow it down? Do we try to get creative? I'm really excited to see where this series is going, and again, since it's two new teams we've never seen before, shot in the dark as to who's going to win this.
Well, why don't chat let us know who they think is going to come out on top so that they can educate us on our predictions, but we had to give them ahead of time because we aren't biased at all, even though I am currently living in Georgia, so I'm going to already go out swinging with the Georgia representative this time, and it is going to be Bruton Parker College that I think is going to come out on top. They did quite well for themselves, upset some of these other teams. I believe Florida State University in the play-ins, if I'm not mistaken, or not the play-ins, the qualifiers, and then in the play-ins did pretty well for themselves. So that's who I'm going to go with this, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ball State takes it either. They look strong against Stockton, took them to 5 games in the play-ins for their second round for them to try and qualify for Div 1, and we saw how Stockton performed there. You can definitely tell that Ball State are going to bring everything that they can to the table for this series. So, Taco, with that all out there, who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think Zat has been in my DMs constantly with after every tournament that I see and say, hey, gotta believe in Ball State. We got Wovo, we got Daffy. There's a lot of talent here. We really can make a deep push, and they believe in that. And obviously, being in D1 and their first outing as the new collective roster, I'm gonna go with them just for the sheer confidence that their leader has really been showing. But on top of the fact that Daffy, former player on UNCC, I would argue one of the MVPs in previous seasons for that squad, coming up so many times, and now they have a really solid all-around roster. So I think they take this, and Bruton Parker is going to have to really, I suppose, prove me wrong with all this talent they've assembled.
Fair. Flo, how do you feel about these teams, and who do you think is going to show up big in this series?
I am on a different page to Taco. I think I'm going to look to Bruton Parker to take the series, but I also think it's a toss-up. I think it can easily go either
Content,
way.
but only
The
briefly.
reason behind that, and
Only
like I said
brief.
before, right? Looking at the rosters,
Oh, you're
How
right.
brief?
Bruton Parker to bring the pace, and I'm going to look for Ball State to come up with a game plan to mitigate
Action.
that. So in my mind, that just says I should look towards Bruton
What?
Parker as.
I know my mic was just cutting out there. That's annoying. I said, look at Danger Taco with that phenomenal prediction.
I mean,
higher pace or whatever might you have it. I'm not sure that Bruton Parker will have an answer, but hey,
I'm not gonna call him by that name.
Excited to see this and get into this game.
I know you want me to. I'm not gonna do it.
Would be likely a chance for our first
What
game
name?
of 5 of the
Not
summer
doing it.
series. We'll have to
Grant.
see if we
What
get there,
name?
but
What
Flo,
name?
You're not allowed to
Nintendo.
say that on this stream.
So much VOD, and of course,
What did I say?
You know what you're thinking.
I actually don't know what I said. I
Never
don't know
mind
where this joke is going. DM?
No.
I'm confused.
Yeah, you can be
I'm also
confused.
confused.
I said Danger Taco with that fire prediction. Did I say
Yes.
something wrong?
Yes.
No.
Oh, am I supposed to call him Taco or the Danger Taco or Jeff?
You said everything wrong.
What?
You went wrong at hello.
I get that a lot.
Look at the new Prime loot.
What is that?
Pokemon Go.
Oh my.
You can start your free trial for League of Legends, and there's Fall Guys content as well.
Man, go to the polls.
Hey, Kendo, if you ever need someone to be a Ball State fanboy on stream, you know who to call.
That is true. Might need to give you a call.
I've been telling Vaudible for weeks that Ball State was going to be good, and everybody doubted me. And look at them now. Look at them now.
They're having such a good time.
I just came to say hi.
They're having the Ball State.
Nice. I applaud you for that one.
Not really.
Anyways,
Don't applaud
I'd
me
stick
for
around.
that being bad. Anyway.
I'd stick around. My parents just got home from a little trip, so I'm gonna go say hi.
Congratulations.
I mean,
Wish my parents can't. Never mind. Okay, get lost. Go away. Go away. Bye. Much love, Grant.
Oh no.
Have a much better idea of where things stand even after the first minute and a half of gameplay here. But for the time
Oh
being,
no.
it's a completely fresh
What?
slate, 2 new teams, 5 new players, one we've seen before, and we are underway.
So, Unity, can you hang at this level?
Just the joke you made, Kendo.
I know, right?
An Akron Stockton match, then certainly
So terrible.
that can maybe start gathering that fan base.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I think this is one of those times where I'm not going to be overstepping my bounds and making any grand predictions as we go into this. I think, we'll have a much better idea of where things stand even after the first minute and a half of gameplay here. But for the time being, it's a completely fresh slate, 2 new teams, 5 new players, one we've seen before, and we are underway.
So, as we mentioned, both these teams, some old faces, some new, and honestly, I'm trying to see if the playstyle will be something we've never seen before. Melodic, to talk about their mechanics, an early double tap. We'll try and show that off. Another 50. That is actually right on target. Zaf needed quality touch, and he will at least get enough of it. A lot of possession from Bruton Parker in the beginning of this game, and even with Zaf getting it out to the midfield, it is not enough to truly get it out of their half.
I will have to give it a little bit of time because they did win the kickoff. Daffy gets it downfield. That could have been an open net if directed the right way, but all he can do is find the corner. Solis with a flick. We'll get out of dangerous way. That's a front flip. That was almost dangerous. Melodic is there. We'll get it out of the way. And Bruton Parker, they won the kickoff, but they find themselves off the back foot on Ball State's first true attack.
The backwards challenge from Zaf. Not going to slow down Solis. As he mentioned, that 1v1 ability is going to be something that you want to keep your eye on from the 50s or from the flicks. Melodic across the goal line, but no one close enough for Bruton Parker. How about Wova on the far side? A dunk straight down to the back post, and Melodic will carry it out. Daffy all the way at midfield, just not wanting to commit too far forward, but you can't play too slow. That is a double demo from Solis, and yet the only survivor, Zaf, still able to get the save away.
Yeah, and that just comes out of Bruton Parker.
I like getting hyped over the double demo and then transitioning out of it because really it didn't lead to anything. It's it's such a good moment.
Barely gets the third he's looking for. He's playing that aggressively. It's worked for Bruton Parker to get down the field so far, but he pays the price in not being able to put that chance away for his team.
Too direct from Daffy. Melodic will cut that one out. Wova 15 straight down. A backflip actually over Antex, but Solis able to cover. Wova back for more. It's a roller all the way into the corner. So not going to be reaching any true territory that will make Bruton Parker sweat their brow. Melodic solo play, uncontested double tap from a tough angle, and that shows why it's going to go well wide into the corner. Wova on the extension. I would say Ball State has been pushed onto their heels, but at least for right now, you don't need much. You just need one goal to get ahead, and at the point, that will give you a lead and maybe even the game as we're at halftime, still waiting for our opener.
They've certainly been on their heels, but that does not mean by any means that they are down and beaten. They are still in this well, but they are going to have to find a way to shut down Melodic. He's been an absolute animal on these sidewalls. As he in with a pass infield to Solus. The shot comes in and the backboard says no. Xantix there with the follow, but he won't get enough heat on it. Ball still there as Melodic will look for Xantix on the backboard once again. The attack falls flat for Bruton Parker here. Solus will do whatever he can to keep it alive.
Melodic, that's a giveaway. Daffy might be looking downfield, but that is not the power required to get past Antix. Dribble to the sideline, touch down the line, and much a commotion, I would say.
How many games do they have to cast, by the way?
Just 2.
Just okay.
2 series.
Right back into Ball State possession with the Zaf pre-flip into Daffy. Into the
There's
ceiling,
usually a 3 and 2 division for the regular, but pre-show has its own time commitment.
Open the score. Ball State are on the board first.
Daffy leading their roster in shots, and third time is the charm. Able to get that, and only because that clear did not come through. The demo getting the last defender, and Daffy leading their
just
roster
pretty.
in shots, and third time is the charm. Able to get that, and only because that clear did not come
Wova.
through. The demo getting the last defender, and we'd seen that in the previous series. You can have all the pressure in the world, but if you crumble,
I can't apologize for the coughing.
Oh, you're fine. Didn't you say you had something in like 15?
I do. I should probably hop over there. I've been looking at those like the last 15 minutes, but no one else is in there, so I guess I should be the trendsetter.
I reckon if that'll be what you planning on doing. I figured I'd remind you though, because I knew it was getting close, and I have a tendency to lose. I have a tendency to lose track of time myself, so.
And I know I've been quiet, Kendo, but it is like I haven't actually watched another person's VOD in a while, so like I did appreciate this.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like I said, I'm kind of being selfish. I kind of need it, but at the same time, I think that it provides good content. Just because going through and allowing us to really talk about what we should think about or talk about on VOD reviews, getting behind the thought process is kind of a good thing. It's kind of an important thing and something we on a regular overlook. So, hee-haw.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kendo. Be hopping over then.
Yep. Much love, fam.
And, yeah.
Have yourself a wonderful night.
A wonderful night.
Oh, I will. I will.
All right. See you around then. Oh.
That tweet makes me happy. Okay. Time to go back to what I was doing. What was I doing? You're not going to want to go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Bruton Parker just had Ball State completely bogged down and choked, getting increasingly more desperate with their clears off the goal line. They just never found an avenue out, and at the end of the day, that door got battering rammed in. Bruton Parker forced their way through to get back into it.
Slow play, bit of a double commit from Ball State. Know if they're going to get punished. They need a touch in the midfield, and they'll get it. It's Daffy again. Now Zath trying to keep it close in the air dribble, gets away near the end, so Solus and Melodic combining for another clear, but these careful possessions that Bruton Parker has done on offense don't extend to defense. They're not getting these clears out. Zath open shot, and that is well wide. A golden opportunity, almost on a platter, and they're not able
Hi,
to
Kendo, I'm back.
Hi, welcome back.
Melodic and Solus have fallen
Thanks.
How are you doing, back?
A lot of waste on both ends of the field, which
Boo.
teams here. Zath taking it down.
Boo.
Challenged by Melodic.
Boo, 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 boo.
Why, did you have something you were doing tonight and it got canceled?
No, I was saying hi to my parents.
Oh.
Yay. But it sounds like my dad's going to bed and my mom is probably going to follow shortly after or do work. So.
Ah.
To start that off, Melodic chaotic with a demo leading the way.
Word to your mother. I just dated myself.
More or less a guarantee it's going to be Bruton Parker taking game 1.
And the kickoff just goes so far in the favor of Bruton Parker. At that point, Antics can commit himself forward with the double demos. Last time you saw.
Are you watching Ball State sell the bag on the first game?
Oh yeah, they sold the bag.
Bruton Parker will take game 1 against a very competitive Ball State squad.
But then it wasn't even close.
The double demo. I mean, how many
Those
times
boys knew what they were
do you
doing.
see that in a game? Just players getting cleared off the field. We
They
talk
got
about the value of
BK,
physical play. I didn't know that
legendary Alpha Kep's brother.
Combine that with their shot
Fun fact.
differential. Ball State was able to close it a bit, but overwhelming mechanical prowess from Bruton Parker at times is certainly making them a formidable foe for the Ball State defense.
I think already
Are you still recording?
Yes. We are still in the middle of this for the next 40 minutes.
3 defenders from Ball State, where at that point, you just have
So you're still not going to tell me what I did wrong about?
You didn't do anything. I was literally joking.
Ball State getting just set all the way back when they get so close to finding that breakthrough. It's tough. They need to find a way to mitigate that, continue their pressure.
Well then,
Eventually
Poggy
they're gonna
Woggy.
find the goals instead he did a few times.
Yeah, and now you're kicked out.
One thing that really speaks to me from Bruton Parker is how coordinated they all are.
You know, I want to cast Fortnite with Bass one day again, so I can call Chug Splashes Chuggy Wuggies and see how he reacts.
Who does that? In all seriousness, who does this?
It
Why?
makes either the casters laugh or they cringe.
Why
there's
you gotta
no
be
in
so
between.
cringe, bro?
But I want to say it in like such a serious manner, too, to where Bass just stops me. He's like, hold it right there.
Yeah, stop. Get some help.
And with that said,
I called him Chuggy Wuggies in front of Ben K while we were playing.
Yes.
they'll have possession in the corner, but
And
as far as Antics will dump it on net,
he was like, oh, like, you got the Chuggy Wuggy cannon? And he's like, okay, I'm not sharing anymore. Wait, I actually have a clip of this. Hold on. I'm gonna get this for you.
You mean Tapman Tailgate winner, Ben K?
Yes. Yes, indeed. I was so happy for him. I was like, bro.
Oh,
amazing.
Come on! Guilty Gear isn't even a good game. I'm joking.
Whoa. Here, let me get you the Chuggy Wuggy. Here, watch this clip.
I cap.
Is that Geico and Portal? What the trash?
Geico and Portal.
Watch that clip.
Grant, am I sure this clip is safe?
Let me check, actually. I think it is.
I'm worried.
It is a I just checked. It is a certifiable 100% safe clip, and that is by my own standards.
You could have left out that last part.
No, like my genuine standards, not my Grant the Caster low stand. I mean, what?
30 seconds of leaves. I'm on the backboards. Defers.
Okay, I can't believe I'm opening this.
You won't regret it, I promise.
Is it their DMCA music?
No.
Sure about that.
100%. Who's got the Chuggy Wuggy cannon?
Yo, I'm not sharing anymore.
What? The Chugga Wugga. Thanks for the Chuggy Wuggies.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Who's got the Chuggy Wuggy cannon?
Yo, I'm not sharing anymore.
The Chugga Wugga. Isn't it great? Thanks for the Chuggy Wuggies.
Dude. Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Who's got the chuggy wuggy cannon?
Yo, I'm not sharing anymore.
You keep watching.
What?
The chugga-wuggas. Thanks for the chuggy wuggy.
How much do they charge you to
Oh my gosh.
put an octane on your back?
Oh, no.
That was free.
Really?
Yeah.
How is it free?
A long time ago. When Epic first bought Fortnite. Who's got the chuggy wuggy cannon?
Rocket League.
I'm not sharing anymore.
Yeah.
What?
So in other words, I missed out on my opportunity.
Don't watch the sneeze clip. Whatever you do, don't watch the sneeze clip below that one. No, don't watch it, Kendo.
Don't watch it. Okay. Yeah. Well,
that clip will ensure I don't get on the broadcasting.
Absolute lifeline in the first 30 seconds of play.
Antics even took their time and still
They'll be like, yeah, Grant's too weird. We don't want him.
Certainly, there's going to be pressure coming in. There has to be a defender, and there wasn't. So, let's say certainly, if you want to play fast, that's important. But take your time when you truly do have it. Either way, Bruton Parker will not go away. They are going repeatedly into these half rotations. This is really the longest that we've seen a break for Ball State, and it's going to come right back at them from Solus. So Ball State is certainly, if they're trying to regain, this is not the beginning of the match that they're hoping for.
That's a really tough pill to swallow for Antics, and you know, sympathy, man.
Wow.
I've been there, and I have done that exact same thing on a CRL stream before.
What?
It is not a position you want to find yourself in.
Just that
That's
save.
The only thing you can do is push forward and conquer. You know, he's still here, he's still pushing. They've still got an open scoreboard, but that's the
Zath washed.
to rue and regret at the end of the day. Melodic is there, great pass and field.
Yeah, that's Zath's fault.
Bruton Parker once again find themselves in the lead.
Zath of the back
Trash, bro.
To amount to much, but look at Wova, the half rotation. Daffy and him are essentially zone covering nothing, as Melodic will put it right over top of them. 1-0, and you'd have to say it was on its way, Floms. Bruton Parker, they can only knock on the door so much until they just barrel right through.
Yeah.
Why is Hornbach's name in chat? Hornybach? Why did he do that? That's all I want to know.
And Melodic just blasts it downfield. Cannon fodder downfield. Antics will try to.
How did that get through the filter?
We'll dump it into the path of.
Good question.
Unfortunately, the contact isn't there. Melodic to Solus. He will try to look himself off the backboard. The defense isn't there. Zap.
Generally, the filter does a little bit better a job.
A little bit longer. Two players from Bruton Parker are still there. Solus with a follow, and Bruton Parker refusing to go away. They're still here and they're still pushing.
Well, with a name like Ball State, what do you expect?
That's why the flip reset is the meta. Goes right back into it, and now the counterattack. Antics hunting it out. Daffy just forced to look at it. Even off of the defense, look at the possession play. Back pass into the long shot from Melodic, and Bruton Parker onto another offensive effort. That one just deflected away by the last defender, but they simply just cannot get it safely out of their half. Ball State.
Pretty good.
And again, Melodic has just been such a problem in the midfield, just bombing it downfield. It's caught out Ball State so many times. They've just gone over all of their heads, and they've been forced all the way back, and they find themselves in a tough pickle once again. They're finally going to get some possession downfield. Melodic off the backboard will smack it down, and here we are again. 3 Ball State players retreating just off the back of a single touch. Antics will go there again, and he finds the post again. It's just not the day for Antics.
Well, the 4th defender coming in strong for Ball State, especially if they can get on this one. Double commit, but not harming Bruton Parker. Another pinch forward. Melodic touched on. Daffy was waiting for it. Wova and Zaf both looking at it. The connection is there. The shot is not. Melodic shutting it down. Great gap closure from Bruton Parker, not allowing really an inch for Ball State to get these shots off. They really need to be placed so precisely. Same with these passes. Wova with an attempt, not nearly enough to fool the defense.
I like the idea, but you have to get the ball further out than that for your teammates to have a chance. And unfortunately, that's just right into the jaws of the wolf here for Bruton Parker. They get this one downfield once again. Sath off the backboard will at least buy himself a little bit of time. That's a good bump on Melodic, but not enough.
There's a lot of play-by-play.
Ball State, that's a great pass. The shot from Wova comes in, but the shot just does not have enough on it to really pose a threat to this defense.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
In this cast, do you feel like it's just been really repetitive and kind of monotone?
That is not going to be taken. Dunked. This could be a breakaway. Solus quickly up.
No.
Looking for an angle. They're going to shoot right on the near, and Daffy.
I wouldn't say it's been.
Tucking that to the side. Good recovery, but that does not.
Now, as far
Maybe not
as
monotone, but I feel like they've been saying the same thing, and I think it's just like their cadence together.
yeah, I can see that they haven't changed up. There hasn't really been a change in the feel of the cast.
Yeah.
So that does play a role in it.
That's a tough one from
You have to be able to roll with the punches.
You might think that touch from Zaf is a little bit rough right to the ceiling, but it's actually exactly what Ball State needed.
Back from Molodic jumping backwards to save face. Keep this one in play. Zaf off the ceiling. Daffy and Wova both up. It won't matter. They will find the goal. 32 seconds, and we are.
I will say I've heard a bit of improvement from Flums in his energy levels.
Straightforward, and you might think that touch from Zaf is a little bit rough right to the ceiling.
Flo's been working a lot on both the energy, the tone variance, as well as being able to utilize play-by-play to, whether it be transition or keep things smooth. Wow. Bang, bang, Ball State.
Great play by Wova, baits out Melodic, and then destroys Antics on the goal.
It's actually chirp chirp taco.
Great play by Wova to give himself the lead, and that's
Chirp.
just the 1-2 off the
Chirp.
kickoff.
Mm-hmm. It's the Cardinals, baby.
It's going to be a quick 2 goals, a nice combo to open things
Chirp,
up. And if you're Bruce
chirp.
Parker, might be seeing stars after this combo thrown right at you. 20 seconds though, and then this amount of speed and mechanics, they're never truly.
But I do agree, it can get repetitive. I don't think it's repetitive to a fault by any stretch.
Yeah.
So it looks like with one more
Like,
clear,
it's still
it might be Ball State
pretty solid
taking
casting.
Game number 2, unless a coast-to-coast attempt can come through. Zaf not allowing it to happen. Spikes into the metal. Ball State on Aquadome able to steady the.
At the same time,
Taco called it the metal.
Second match of the day.
And Bruton Parker get hit with the 1-2 right at the end.
at the same time, you're not, you haven't had a need for very much variance.
His 7 shots. He had
Yeah.
the golden opportunity that would have put them in front, and all he can do is find the post. It's unfortunate, but I think it's one of those times where you just have to take it.
That was my other thought.
I think
It's like,
especially if your antics getting that
how do you make that
tribal of
interesting,
left
you know?
post, knocking it a couple times, one of them
Because it's
on
like you
a
don't
completely
need to
open
change
net,
it, but
this is really where I
how
see
can
the
you make that
maturation
interesting?
of teams come through. That is something
That's
that
where I appreciate Bass a lot, because Bass can...
God, that series could have been
Bass has a tendency to be overhyped,
put that in, or
but it's not a bad thing
okay, we missed 2 goals. It's
when
fine.
Bass
We have
does
most
it.
of the pressure. We have a majority of the
Yeah.
shots.
Most of the
We
time.
lost out on a rough one. So going into
I
this
think the one exception
apparently we're gonna be seeing no
would be
odds
when you get somebody who's
beginning
equally
of the
hyped,
here for these matches, and I think this is starting to evolve into a better series. But would you still
and
say
you
Ball
don't
State
get
is
as
still
much
little
of a
bit behind,
reset.
or just finding their footing on
So
the
like
second half?
you may hear a moment.
Finish line in that last game, but I think it'd be disingenuous to suggest that they were the better team over the course of the game. I think Bruton Parker had the most of the possession, the better shots. Unfortunately, they just could not find the shooting boost that they needed. And you know, again, I feel for Antics. I've been in that position before. It's funny until it becomes a running meme for any amount of time.
And certainly you do not want anything to become consistent, especially when it's memeing on you. You're not getting those shots through. So being able to salvage it could be DFH for both of these teams. All State trying to turn their. I would say
Are you
last
taking
second
notes
heroics
for
into something,
each of the casters?
More regular as Solus and
You're just kind of like doing an
alongside
independent
Bruton
VOD
Parker
review to
trying
feed notes to
use
them
those
later.
mechanics
Kind of.
to peak and
Like I'm working on that, as well as I have profiles for everybody, action points, things to work on, goals, etc.
And the backflip is tough. They had the 3-on-1 there. Solus was last back.
That is a very large part of what I do currently.
To bully the man. Probably get a
Trying to make sure that I
It's not meant to be. Solus
help
will find
everyone
this
to
one.
be the very best version of themselves, and Solus literally living up to their name right there. That needs to be finished, because that was the most disgusting pass.
Yeah.
Solus will go himself. He's looking for the Doomsy dish, but denied by Wova.
Bruton Parker's got some potential, but Ball State's just too solid.
We
Like,
did-
I just know the way BK trains that team, because I was once trained by a BK.
Solus will find this one in the midfield.
Dude.
Great touch. Solus is there, but
Dude.
So
he can send 2.
to it. And what I thought was a
this is one I feel like Flo needs to clip.
And the backflip is tough. They had the 3-on-1 there. Solus was last back.
Just because
Daffy doesn't get
the
that back.
variance
Two
in
free
tone.
minutes forward to bully the man. Probably get a free net, but unfortunately it's not meant to be. Solus will find this one in the midfield. That's a great touch. Solus is there, but will find the left post. This left post has been an absolute asset for the Ball State defense. And for Bruton Parker, it's another chance to the wayside as Melodic blasts it downfield into the arms of the awaiting Daffy. Solus will go himself. He's looking for the Doomsday dish.
Lengthy, but yes.
Daffy, quick touch. Antics will be able to get just enough. Zaf.
Yeah, that was
Have to settle for a 50.
It's pretty solid.
Into Daffy. Into the middle, another clear. Zath with the half rotation. They've got two players waiting.
Zath with the half.
Solus, but the shot is not going to be enough.
Oh, bro, that's
bar,
robbery.
Post and it's not enough. It's just going to be sitting there.
Oh,
Zath
bro.
will finish another Doomsday dish. How is this out?
Bro, and an ad.
I swear, I think they know Twitch watches the VODs and it's like, yeah, this is where the ad goes. We're gonna make them wish they were watching it live.
LOL.
And then those who aren't watching it live will get them so used to it that we'll start putting live ads right in the middle of everything.
A nice
Bad
shirt,
gum.
Kendo.
Oops.
I remember that shirt.
What shirt?
The one you're wearing.
The level up.
Z.
It's a shirt.
Hey y'all, it's Storm here. Come check out my on-campus apartment. As you can see, baby.
As you can see, I don't want to hear.
Parker's still in this. Gonna be sick. Rotation, they've been able to get just enough. Waiting, that's not a good clear by Solus, but the shot is not gonna be enough either. Deflection into the bar, to the back post, and it's not enough. It's just gonna be sitting there. Zath no finish. Another Doomsday dish. How is this
Ball State
out?
selling right there.
Again. How
Straight
is
up.
Parker still in this?
I mean,
That's a really good
there's really
call
nothing to
from
say after
Taco.
that. That's the kind of chance
Like, just that whole
Away, and
sequence.
it's Antics will be the
Taco
next
does
one
that
to find the post, and
consistently.
he can't get the read. The ball's still in play here with Ball State putting it on the backboard. There's really nothing to say after that. That's the kind of chance that they should have put away, and it's Antics. Antics will be the next one to find the post, and he can't get the read. The ball's still in play here with Ball State putting it on the backboard. Antics dumps it downfield. He's looking for Solus on the sidewall. That one's going towards the net. Daffy needs to make
Good
sure
recognition of the
he gets it
chance.
off the post to get it out, and we can finally take a breather after that.
Certainly needed. I'm reaching for my inhaler. I haven't had asthma in 20 years. Fuck.
The golden call right there.
Parker has had enough of defense to try and their hand in
Yo.
offense, but the midfield challenges from Daffy.
I haven't had
and everyone on
asthma
Ball
in
State has
20
really stepped
years.
Up a notch. They've been able to shut down a decent amount of these attacks from Bruton Parker before they've even begun. Which
That
is
might be the best
certainly
call of the
a
day.
Style of play that I don't think
Oh,
Bruton
yeah.
Parker's been used to so far.
I think it's
Best
one
call of
of
the
those
week.
times
There we
My
go.
inhaler.
series in the sense that it wasn't gonna be a blowout. I think we might have misinterpreted which definition.
Taco
of
needs to
close we
clip
were
that
looking
one.
for.
Certainly
You should
so.
clip
We
it
can
for
only
him.
hope for some improvement as we're seeing people in chat really lose faith in the Eastern Conference, but that is just what chat is. They're never truly pleased. No one hates CRL more than CRL fans as we head into the final 2 minutes of game number 3.
This is
Still
true.
looking for a go-ahead
Nobody
drive.
hates CRL more than
Antics
CRL fans.
over one,
Very
but
true,
not
very true.
past Zaf. Gonna be a long send on down as they're just trying to get a breather on defense. Quick shot by Melodic, not nearly enough.
Good idea from Solus, though. Rather than trying to blast it back into the backfield, he opts for the pass into Melodic, forces two players back from Ball State to cover that play. Ball State here on the offense once again. That one's going to be over Antics. Wova will challenge. Doesn't make the contact we're looking for. Zath onto the backboard, defended by Solus. Here comes the air dribble, and Daffy is there to defend.
We'll see Daffy with an air dribble. No one up for it until Antics will get it away. Zath into the middle. Wova, a light tap. I like that pass, and it's going to be a fake. There's no contact. Wova.
You're getting your variance finally, by the way.
I think this is one of the times you have to give the benefit of doubt. I think
Finally getting a little bit of fireworks.
So proven guilty for Zath. Either way, poor Solus is on the goal line and cannot do anything about that. And Ball State.
I'm just realizing I've never casted with
find
Taco.
themselves in the lead.
Really?
And I don't even blame Solus
Yeah.
because you have to
Or, no, I
assume
think
that
actually we
is
did
going to be a
one thing
contact
together
from
one
Zath,
time.
whether or not they just
But
want to
man,
be
it
a
was
50
so long
on the
ago.
side of Zath and Ball State. I guess we'll never really know.
I really want to hop back.
In an interview later on.
I really want to hop back in the booth with Squid. Squid nice humor. Like, it just blends so well. It's two different styles of humor, but overall it's really dry, and we just get it.
Great pass downfield, and the finish is there for Wova. Ball State have got the insurance goal they were looking for.
Wova.
They've got the break on this Bruton Parker squad. We're gonna have to work tooth and nail to have a chance of getting this back.
Oh, no one's up for melodic. They nearly paid
Balls eating up. That's funny. Who is that in chat?
D-Bank.
Saving their bacon.
That's so good.
Now Daffy gonna have to get something away from this one.
Weast, I thought this was Weast.
Open for Solus, and that can't really be asked for much more. Top shelf finish, and they're back within one.
And absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. It's hard to place this one any better. He doesn't have any of the goal to shoot at, and he still finds a way to sneak it in there just out of the reach of Zath. Great shot from Solus to get themselves at least a chance. We saw the 1-2 from Ball State in the last game off the kickoff. We'll see if it's the turn of Bruton Parker to make it 1-2. Antics is up, but beaten by Daffy to the ball.
This is where a lesser version of myself would have made the point.
We'll get the go-ahead save.
We don't want to talk about the 1-2 for Ball State.
Taking it across. It is slightly past Antics, and now
definitely need to find better phrasing there. This is college carball.
The quick play, catch it,
1-2 for balls.
Yeah, and you know, Zath gets
State.
or either intentionally
I
or
don't get
unintentionally,
it.
but either way, it takes Antics out of the play. I think he was going to come back and try to challenge the dribble from Wova. Either way, he can't do it, and Wova finds the flick. He finds the top corner. Great play. They're back on with their 2-goal lead, 30 seconds to go, and Bruton Parker, they had made forward progress, but for every step forward, there's a step backwards.
And the social media team over at Ball State were celebrating the Wova signing when it was confirmed that he was going to be attending in the fall, and that is why need a big player to step up.
That is gold color research from Taco.
Giving them a nice insurance, but insurance only counts if it lasts you through the hard times.
That is such good color commentary work.
Going to the corner off of a
Yep.
massive deflection, and now there's just not enough.
The reason
time on
Taco's the
clock for
best.
Bruton Parker. They're gonna fall behind in this series, and Ball State is 5 minutes away from getting their first Summer Series victory.
End up picking favorites.
One that's not the way you want to start, isn't it? And again, like
Sir, there comes a point where it doesn't matter what I think about a person as a person. It'd be very easy for me to pick a favorite, but the work speaks for itself.
Amen.
Nobody else with comparable sound has that level of research behind it as well,
I think really what I'm seeing
nor the level of consistency.
mechanics of Bruton Parker a lot better. We're
Amen.
seeing, faster challenges. We're seeing a lot more cutouts,
And he is just straight up consistent about it every single time.
I think you need to use them in different ways.
Yep.
It's one thing to get air dribbles, but I would love to see
If Brett
creative
cleans it
passes
all
off
up,
the backboard, being able to get back to
Brett
the
has the
backboard
chance to be just
combined
as good, if not
with being
better.
able to set up your
But
teams in interesting and unique ways. Otherwise,
I don't know that he'll ever bring the same level of
they're handling it far more
intelligent
often.
color
They're going to have fewer and fewer
that
quality
Jeff
wide open
does.
opportunities. I mean, it took
And that's I'm not trying to put anybody down there.
to get past the defense.
Oh, no.
Whether or not that's going to be the case in
I just want to point out Seb's last message in chat before coming pairs.
Spent really within their 6-yard
That's
box
actually
in
an
that last
inside
game.
joke. Balls taint. That's an inside joke between Ball State students.
Why are we going down this rabbit hole?
Hey, it's on stream, man.
I know it's
Seb
on
said it.
stream.
Seb
We
said it.
didn't have to acknowledge it.
Hey, as a color commentator, I give insight into things.
This is why we don't read chat.
Solus, the 1v1 player, trying to show off their prowess.
Yeah, just be on the call and be like, well, you know, Seb makes a really good point in chat. Ball State, that is actually an inside joke. It's almost like Seb's been attending Ball State his whole life and could read it. Maybe we need to get him on the job of analyst.
It's well past the goal, but the boost steal and the collection
No.
from Wova at least enable them to keep
It's not happening.
of possession. Bruton Parker getting lapped in their
Not happening. Just straight up not happening.
Welcome back to 10 Reasons Grant will never be on CCA College Carball Fortnite. No, not Fortnite. What am I saying? You know what I meant. Whatever this thing is called. I don't even know what it's called.
You just
That's reason
destroyed
number
yourself.
2. Why? That's reason number 2.
they just cannot.
I've already
get
been on
anywhere
Fortnite.
near scoring on this Ball State defense.
Over the 50s coming through from Bruton Parker, you can almost feel pot coming to a boil here as the boost is starting to become a rare commodity on the side of Ball State. Do they have enough to get it out here? To the ceiling, antics, they're lurking. They're not going to be quick enough.
That goes like a
Daffy will beat it
fine
out.
wine.
Fortunately for Bruton Parker, well wide for Solus to throw into the corner, but seems like Bruton Parker has yet to get their first real opportunity.
Excuse me. I didn't have time to mute.
3 shots
That's all I have to say. I wish I did.
Wow.
Not sure if I agree with that. Daffy
I
had to open
didn't
that
have
shirt from the
time.
parking lot and he had to find it, but it still was
That'll be
open
your
and
new
then
song
he
single.
had
I
to take it.
didn't have time to mute.
For the double touch, he can't find his Solus there with the follow. Zath bumps his teammate.
How'd you know
recovers
about my
enough
new
to get
song?
out of the way. Bruton Parker, they're still pushing. They're pushing hard with 3 players up pretty much at all times. And the closest we've seen to a goal has just been.
I still have to find the clip that Jesse has of the time me and Nola Nova improv'd a worship song. As stereotypical as it could get.
Wow.
It was good, dude.
I am both interested, and this is definitely not the time.
I'm DMing Jesse.
For them to build out of their half. Melodic do their best effort. That 50 will go far.
We're gonna release it on SoundCloud. Call it Stereotypical Worship Song.
Be able to answer back with an air dribble right into the ceiling. It's
Where?
Wova.
Who was I DMing?
What we've come
Oh,
to expect. An
that's
open
my
shot
memory.
and a goal.
And it all starts 15 seconds prior. You saw Melodic going for the air dribble that forfeits the ball to Ball State. He actually just takes that ball away from Solus. You've got 2 players from Bruton Parker racing down the right side of the field, and they just can't get back in time. Ball State sees this. They've got a breakaway chance, and they take full advantage of it.
Devi is not going to get the touch they want, but even still, they're fine to...
Donkey!
Donkey. Monka S.
Are you weaving yarn?
Is that coming through? Wait, hang on. I need to unmute stream so I can hear it. Because this happens sometimes. That's really funny.
He's throwing Adams. This is where I want Bruton to just serve it up for Melodic, so not much to celebrate. But at the very
This is
least,
my
it seems like
MIDI
Ball State
keyboard.
isn't at all panicking now. It seems like they're able to handle what Bruton Parker is throwing Adams. So this is where I want Bruton Parker to get back to what they were doing in game 1. Go for those demos. Go for those mechanical plays. But at this point, it just seems like they're getting too anxious on the ball. I don't really feel like I'm seeing the same semblance of strategy.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, right? You see this long bomb from Solus downfield. In the previous times, especially in game 1, Ball State was playing the midfield line just that little bit more. But this time when Solus blasts it, there's 3 people behind the ball ready to defend. That's a great pass and a great shot from Daffy to double the lead and double the advantage.
Daffy, a player that I called my pick for MVP on the previous team of UNCC, now on Ball State, still making big plays. They were lurking downfield. We were lamenting some of these longer passes, but that is why they can be a viable scoring opportunity, being able to find your MVP upfield and now giving yourself a nice cushion in the final 2 minutes of your match point game.
And again, to wrap that point, I was talking about Bruton Parker. They're playing it downfield and immediately pushing up behind it to try and get themselves into a phase of sustained pressure. But in doing so, they're inviting Ball State to make those kinds of plays, to look for Daffy on the sidewall and just take a quick shot, fire to the bottom left corner, and they're leaving the opening for Ball State, and they've seen this and capitalized on it.
Monica like that catch. Solus unfortunately had no momentum. Daffy, quick flick, nearly beat out Antics. Wova get a K-turn into this one. The quick flick, Antics and Melodic. Double commit, that is open for Daffy. It's off the bar. So mercifully for Bruton Parker. Can they do anything on the counter? Melodic is the outlet, but Wova fearlessly diving in. Another cutout in the mid.
Yeah, and that's another double commit for Bruton Parker as well. It's Melodic and Solus once again. Ball State will answer with a double commit of their own. That's a good pass into the midfield, but it won't be enough.
Four, dude, chat's wildin'. We at Ball State
100%
knew this was gonna happen.
Again, reads the
Wild.
play like a book and gets up early to prevent.
Certified ballin'.
Not getting a quality clear. Maybe Wova can answer. They will. Back to mid, and no one around for Bruton Parker. They're all rotating deep, getting their boosts and trying again. Solus, no 50. Zath with an extension nearly to the ceiling. It's just going to scrape along the netting. Antics will be able to collect, but they need more than that. They need touches in consecutive fashion. Otherwise, seems like Ball State is content to just boom it downfield. 15 seconds. I just don't know if it's enough for Bruton Parker.
I don't think it is, especially after that one. That's going to kill so much time, even though the save was exceptional. This one's all but over. Ball State, we're going to walk out our victors here. And for Bruton Parker, it started so well and just started to go so wrong in the last game and a half or so. They just could not find any offense. And Ball State was scoring every single breakaway chance they had.
Talk about a come from behind hail. I would say game one, you're thinking, man, Bruton Parker, I mean, they didn't blow it out, but it got a little, I would say, topsy-turvy after a while, but then Ball State just adjusted. I suppose like any good team, you know what is required of you, and you're able to answer the call when needed, and being able to conduct the gentleman's sweep, taking it in 4 games, and I'll say very well worked.
The gentleman's sweep.
Potentially an
Well
early
done.
star for this roster, scoring plenty of shots for them, so a nice thing to see as they start off their season.
Definitely, you know, they started slow in that first game. They didn't look so hot, and Bruton Parker was looking like they might have been on for a comfortable win, but Ball State come back, and they come back with a roar. I mean, 3 games in a row, and they looked like they were in control for the most part. I mean,
BK
yeah, Bruton Parker
says had to get the nerves out, baby.
You know, there was that goal from Solus in game 3 where he just blasted into the top corner. Ball State was, you know, in the driver's seat the whole time.
It's a little bit tough, especially for our Georgia representatives, and we have a Georgia representative of our own. We have a Vaudeville on the desk. How are you feeling about that one? And did you
Georgia
really expect it to
representative.
go
It's almost
down
like they
that
need a
path?
Ball State representative.
As someone who is a fan of Georgia sports, we kind of get used to being upset about results, especially when it comes to defense and giving away opportunities. Talking about the
I DM'd
Falcons
Vaudeville
there,
right
now
after the
talking about
series. I
Bruton
was
Parker
like,
College
just
this
remember,
time, and
I told
man,
you
they
so.
gave it away in game 3.
Wow.
What happened in that scenario in the first couple of minutes in game 3 where they're shooting all these shots from Ball State? Somehow no one could score, then eventually not even really a great goal came in from Wova.
It was me, Seb, Cicero, and Vaudeville casting the community stream the week before Summer Series, or 2 weeks before. And I was telling them, I said, Ball State's coming, bro. You better watch out. I have a clip of that somewhere. And then what happened? They did. They did exactly what I said.
Yeah, I mean, the scraps were on the table. In that particular instance, just no one able
The
to pick up the scraps,
scraps
minus maybe the post making a few
are
heroic saves.
are
But,
on
you know,
the
at the end of
table.
the day, that's a part of the game. It's something you have to contend with, and they certainly had their chance to put it
Interesting.
away. They weren't able to, and you know, at some point that's a turning point in the series because they just didn't look like a team that was going to be scoring enough to take the series after that.
So talking about Ball State, comparing this series to the previous one we saw, how important is it to have that solid third man in the rotation? Because Zaf didn't get involved on actually scoring the goals throughout the entire series. Most of it was Wova or Daffy. Daffy for the first half, Wova for the rest of it, just popping off of a hat trick in game 3. Was that really a key to their victory, apart from just the rest of their teammates popping off? We'll start with Floms on this one.
I think I think there's 2 halves to this story. I think the first half is, you know, what you hit on, but the second half, I think, is learning to defend, right? In that first game, you saw Bruton Parker with all sorts of outlets to get themselves downfield. You know, we saw the mechanical plays in the forms of the double touches. We saw long clears downfield where Ball State was just being caught out and forced to come all the way back. Having learned to defend, that frees up Zath and alternatively Daffy to go play their game. And you know, shooting in a net with 1 defender is much easier than shooting in a net with 2 defenders. If you take that touch off the ceiling into the wall, you look for that pass, you make it that much easier for your team. Yeah, you don't get the 100 points for scoring, but that's probably even more important in the long haul. And you know, you can MVP without putting up the numbers.
True. Makes a lot of sense. So Taco, looking at the future of both these teams, now just talking about Bruton Parker College, from what we saw here, what can they do for their next steps to improve their performance for the rest of league play?
If I'm looking at Bruton Parker, I'm looking at really the blueprint of what they've built. You have 3 players who are very confident on what shots they want to go for, how they want to set it up, and the mechanics to be able to make it happen. But it's the most difficult part of building any roster. You can find a lot of mechanical players. You can find a lot of fast players. You can find a lot of aggressive players. But making sure everyone is fitting a role that is required and being able to form that into a team effort is the real challenge that really all teams at all
I have
levels
something
face.
to show
I know
you,
Bruton Parker
Kendo.
has all the mechanics, and I think they probably
It can wait.
their way through a lot of teams.
Oh,
but
yeah.
when you're playing against the best of the best in
I'm just
the
loading
entire
it up.
collegiate scene, you're going to start to hit a wall, and I think he hit that wall during this first series. We saw a preview during game 1 of the damage they can do, but they need to be able to figure out something a bit more consistent from transitioning from defense to offense.
So from the teams we saw in this first half, since afterwards from the break, we're going to be having some new casters joining us for the second half of the broadcast, Flo and Taco, which of them look the most concrete comparative to their past performances in the CRL or even in the previous CCA Summer Series?
I think that's a tough one. I think Ball State looked the most to me like the finished product. I think, for Bruton Parker, I think it was very coarse. It was very raw, like Taco alluded to. There was a lot of double commits, a lot of uncertainty in what was going on. And, we got to, again, like Taco said, we got to preview what might be to come in the future. But, I think Ball State looked like the finished product much more. And going back to the first two teams we saw between Stockton and Akron, I think that was more so a tale of many mistakes on both ends of the field. I think, we didn't see either team really take a commanding foothold onto that series. And it was really a function of, who was able to capitalize on the other team's mistakes the best. So I guess to me, Ball State was looking like the best team out there today.
Fair. Would you agree on that, Taco? I definitely would.
I could agree with that. I mean, I went with Ball State because I know these players and I know how confident Zath was in their performance, so they must have been getting good results in scrims. But I have to agree that the Stockton, Akron, I would have to say those tend to be the teams you would vote to be able to finish higher in the table. They have the history, they have all these players and names that we know so well when we think of like the best in CRL. But it was a series to start off the summer series that was a lot of mistakes, a lot of awkward play. But I'm just going to chalk that up to a combination of forming these new rosters and also nerves. I remember back at the CRL when the University of Texas
I wish
got in,
Flo was wearing a Hawaiian shirt to match.
So nerve-wracking. Like, I'm playing these guys all the time in ranked,
That would
and scrims,
complete
and it's
this
fine,
desk for me.
but there's all these eyes, and there's so much in every single series. I could feel my hand shaking. I could feel myself so nervous, and sometimes that does happen to these players. Not to say that that was the primary reason, but it is a factor. So week 1, we have our rankings, we have our predictions, but ultimately that might not be what we see later on once those nerves dissipate and they get used to this level of play.
Well, we'll be seeing both of you later on throughout the rest of league play. Thank you for joining me for the first half, Flo and Jeff as well. Shout out to you, and also follow both of them on their social medias, as you can see underneath their names there. But after the break, we're going to be having 2 Western Conference teams, or 2 Western Conference matchups, actually, so 4 Western Conference teams battling it out for their first matchups of the CCA Summer Series presented by eFuse. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a few.
Do you think we need more chips?
That's funny. In just a
snack rack, Jeff. Blend yourself some for real milkshake goodness.
Okay, we'll kill it.
Oh, that was epic.
Oh, goodness. Well,
is it time for stream creds?
I mean, this done doesn't get stream creds. Although it is one of my favorite things about my own personal stream.
Hey, likewise. Or wait, that's not
everybody
how I
loves
use that
the credits.
phrase. You always play that one song as well.
Sussy, or Dumpy Sus. Oh no. Bass used the Dumpy Sus emote, and now everyone in production chat.
Bro. Oh, what I have to show you.
Everybody's like, where did you get that emote? It all goes downhill from here, folks. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. For those of you who are watching on the VOD side. Later. See you next week, everybody.